Guys, did you know that Asmongold is racist? Shocker, I know. He's very dumb, he's very racist, and I would mostly say that he arrived at those conclusions sort of naturally. Now, we're going to be going over a specific video here by the Birdman. I've mentioned the Birdman positively many.
Amazing. Amazing.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Thank you, Jesse Lee Peterson. I've gone over and have had positive sort of comments only to make about the Birdman. For those who may not know, the Birdman, he makes, well, debunks on a bunch of grifters. I'm lying. He doesn't actually primarily only make debunks on a bunch of grifters. That's like the side hustle that now has become the main hustle because, oh my god, there's so many grifters. I hate grifters. You hate grifters. We all hate grifters. Blah, 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 blah. His Exposing the Grift series is very good. He does a fantastic job essentially just going after a bunch of what he would call media grifters. Basically a bunch of anti-woke types who, broadly speaking, comment on films, comics, general sort of media, generally speaking, right? Because the Birdman, first and foremost, is a film critic. He loves, well, doing critique of film media, generally speaking. Film media? Yeah, film media. Sure, whatever. And he likes talking about shows, he likes talking about comics, he likes talking about mostly film, first and foremost, right? General sort of like media analysis kind of a guy. And very often he goes after a lot of these anti-woke types because the anti-woke types basically populate the space on YouTube with just a bunch of dreck. Just a bunch of dreck, dog shit, nonsense, garbage, complete utter like slop and whatnot. But this time, Birdman decided to do something a little different. A little different. And he decided to go after, because this is the second video, this is a follow-up video to this whole sort of like debacle. The first video he made was going after Asmongold for basically repeating the already debunked talking point about Somalis having 68 IQ. Obviously, it is wrong for that Somalis have 68 IQ, based off of a study that was done by Richard Lynn, specifically only on one camp of Somali refugees. That he used it to base and say that all sub-Saharan Africans all have 68 IQ, based off of studying one refugee camp in fucking Somalia. Yeah, that's not how that fucking works if you want to be able to sort of make a scientific sort of consensus and study and whatnot. Obviously, Asmongold and all the incredibly low IQ grifters will just run with it and say like, look at that. We've proven that Somalis, that all Africans are functionally like brain dead, not very intelligent people. And it's just like, it's one study, man, from one guy. That's literally it. Like, that's not how that works. Like, it's stupid, it's nonsensical, it's ridiculous, right? Because you can't just base off of all of that off of one study, which tons of geneticists, tons of other scientists, and even like people who run scientific journals came out against that study by Richard Lynn and said, that's bullshit. Here's why it's bullshit. Yeah, it's bullshit. And have come to this sort of broader agreement that, yeah, it was a bunch of bullshit. But doesn't mean, that people are not going to parrot it and still say, like, oh yeah, it's definitely true. Everything that's being said here about Somali people is inherently true. All because of, again, completely based off of that quote-unquote expose done by that complete fucking dumbass named Nick Shirley, which is why all this discourse around the Somalis is generally speaking happening right now, alongside with the president also talking about the Somalis as well. Basing it off of all of one study done by an avowed white nationalist named Richard Lynn, whose work, shall we say, has been broadly speaking referred to within the bell curve, and also incredibly just ridiculous and debunked sort of novel made by a bunch of scientific racists a bunch of proud scientific fucking racists in Charles Murray and some other dipshit. I only remember Charles Murray. Who cares about the other dipshit who wrote that book? It's stupid. It's a bad fucking book. And he's forced to have to publish his findings, Richard Lynn, in a bunch of white supremacists' scientific journals, quote unquote, because every other scientific journal has essentially laughed him out and said, like, wow, you're very stupid and ridiculous. We're not going to listen to any of this. So the Birdman's initial video was him debunking and basically shitting on Asmongold's positions and explaining to him all the studies and the reasons for as to why he is wrong, which is fine and fantastic and excellent. I have no qualms with that whatsoever. It was a good video, blah, 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 blah. I did something similar as well when I saw that take from Asmongold, and it was going viral across, well, social media, generally speaking. I also explained why he's a fucking goddamn idiot, right? Because the study it was all based off of quote-unquote all Somalis being 68 IQ, was just completely and utterly fucking wrong. Period, end of story, right? And how IQ is generally not a very, very good measurement for being able to measure the general intelligence of people. It's not. It's a pretty bad measurement, objectively speaking. And scientists have broadly said that it is bad for a ton of different reasons. You know, there's a lot of different factors that can make a change in terms of being able to generally measure a person's intelligence. You can have a very, very high IQ and still be very, like, emotionally unintelligent. There's a ton of different ways for as to why IQ, broadly speaking, is just not a very, very good measurement of measuring something as, I was going to say subjective, but something as objective as, for example, like intelligence, right? IQ is just not a very, very good measurement for that, period, end of story. Yeah, like, IQ can just go up by 30 points from being fed properly. Yeah, that's part of the reason for as to why IQ being used as a measurement of intelligence is not a fucking good thing. Because just because you're eating properly doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be more intelligent, broadly speaking, or, like, more knowledgeable on fucking topics. It's just not... That's just not how that works. It's ridiculous. It's fucking stupid, right? Which is why it's, broadly speaking, not seen as a good measurement of intelligence. I'm kind of, like, rambling here a little bit. What I mostly want to talk about here, and I think it's a good thing that all the anti-grifter, like, crowd, you know, people like Birdman, people like Otterly Noah, go after a lot of these grifter types. I think it's a good thing that they do this. The problem, generally speaking, is that it doesn't really matter, right? For a lot of these people, broadly speaking, not to say that it's a bad thing that they do it. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing that they do it. The problem is that if we are in the sort of, like, interests of changing people's perspectives, making videos like these, it's not really going to work, right? Given the current sort of media and environment that we find ourselves under, and guess what, we're going to immediately start by bringing up the death of fucking subjectivity. Yeah, dink donk, Daho bringing up the fucking death of subjectivity. Given the fact that we live in such a socially isolated sort of moment in time right now, where a lot of people's social interactions have, generally speaking, been replaced by social media, and where a lot of, I suppose, hate threads, broadly speaking, right? A lot of the hate threads are still attention grabbing and are still operating, and misinformation, of course, is something that is still something that gets promulgated much more significantly in comparison to that of, you know, the actual information, because it just doesn't make any fucking money. It's not sensationalized, yada, yada, yada. This is the broader byproducts of commodified media, generally speaking, for as to what I'm saying here, right? And broadly speaking, also with the sort of death of education and critical thinking within the United States of America, it has made it such that a lot of people, broadly speaking, in America are wholeheartedly incapable of being able to fit in another person's shoes. The death of subjectivity. That's basically what I overall have it meaning, generally sort of speaking, right? And yeah, you're right, Zane. It is good to inform the masses, but it's not going to change the grifter. You're not going to change a fucking grifter, right? It's the same thing with conservatives, right? Like, if you go into a debate with a conservative with the mind of changing that conservative's, with the, not the mind, but with the goal of changing the conservative's mind, you're going to fail 10 times out of 10. Guaranteed. Because they're paid to have those positions, right? That's what butters their fucking goddamn bread. So you should never go into a debate like that, with the express purpose of trying to change a person's mind. You're not going to do it. It's sort of the rule of the 40-40-20 split, as said by Destiny. And it's kind of, kind of true, kind of accurate. It's a sort of like general sort of rule of thumb. You go into a performance or a debate or a discussion with the mind of that being with about 40% of your audience being there, 40% of their audience being there, and 20% of the people being caught in the middle, who may not have an opinion on the particular topic that's being debated, but just wanted to catch this because they were, curious for whatever reason. That 20% is what you want to fucking aim for, generally speaking, right? You're not going to convince their audience members. You might. Some people will fall off the edges. It always happens, right? And you should go there mostly within the mind of speaking to the audience that's generally speaking, quote unquote, within the middle. Making them be aware as to why their current interlocutor is completely full of shit. You're not always going to get the too far gones. They're just too far gone, and there's nothing you can necessarily do about it, right? So why am I mentioning this here specifically? Birdman, I don't think he's really doing this in order to try to convince the other side. I don't think so whatsoever. The only problem that I kind of have, and this is like a sort of critique, is that I don't think Asmongold is a grifter. I don't think he is. He's certainly a white nationalist, that's for certain. And I don't think he really believes in much of anything. Now, grifters, generally speaking, don't really believe in much of anything, but same with fascists. Fascists also don't believe in much of anything because of the fact that their ideology is so inherently contradictory, right? And I know that Birdman typically doesn't want to get into the realm of politics when he does his media analysis. He just wants to critique media on the merit of media, which I think is totally fair, makes sense. Like, contrary to popular belief, I don't always like bringing politics into like literally everything that I talk about, I suppose. Like, if I'm just talking about like random fucking bullshit, I'm not always going to be talking about politics because I'm like a regular human being, like literally anyone else, and prefer to sometimes have normal fucking social interactions. Period. End of story. Okay, I'm not like some fucking politics obsessed freak, or at least I don't think I am. I'm definitely terminally online. That I can agree with. The thing with Asmongold, and for a little bit of history here, Asmongold used to be an apolitical gamer bro, which I was during high school, for example, but I was too smart to fall for Gamergate. But the thing with that Asmongold is that he was an apolitical sort of gamer bro who fell into the alt-right pipeline as a byproduct of Gamergate 2 being essentially resurrected due to Transgate. That, of course, being, Dylan Mulvaney with her face in the fucking Bud Light cans, right? And that's, generally speaking, as to the reasoning for as to why Asmongold is now the, more or less avowed white nationalist that he is right now, right? Without any like hyperbole or anything else, he is a white nationalist. Whether you fucking like it or not, he's a fascist. He believes in an ultra far right authoritarian structure meant to maintain particular hierarchical structures for the express purpose of what exactly? Oh, maintaining some form of, in Asmongold's case, a racial fucking hierarchy where white people are on top, right? All you Asmongold freaks can cope and fucking seethe about it. I don't really give much of a shit about it. That is Asmongold's structure and ideology in a fucking nutshell. He is a white nationalist. Period. End of story. And the thing specifically with white nationalists, with people like Asmongold, their beliefs and the systems they believe in are very, very much so contradictory because it's nonsensical. A lot of the stuff that they believe in. It's always incredibly silly. It's very esoteric very often. It's stupid. It barely works under fucking any scrutiny, which is what Birdman is going to do. He's going to provide some basic scrutiny, and it always inherently falls apart immediately. Right? You know, great, fantastic, excellent. The thing is with specifically, like, Asmongold is he's never really going to give much of a shit about it because he's, like, basically way too far gone. He's lost in the fucking sauce, and he's probably just going to remain, like, an avowed white nationalist for probably the rest of his fucking goddamn career. He's not going to get convinced. This is the thing that currently butters his bread. Right, or, yeah, butters his bread. And critiquing him, I think is still good. You should always just, like, shine light upon all the, like, inherent fucking dog shit that he believes in. But he didn't just come to here, like, all of a sudden because it was effective for him to basically start believing in a lot of white nationalist talking points. I think that he got here because of, well, the sort of, like, general emergence of anti-woke fucking grifters who basically did the, I don't know, like, Gamergate to Electric Boogaloo shit. I'm going, like, off on a huge sort of, like, ramble tangent here, right? Like, it's a little long, but I think it's very, very important to sort of, like, just outline the, I suppose, like, major sort of, not problems, but, like, the sort of, like, ideological bending that Asmongold, broadly speaking, operates off of. He is a white nationalist who is an apolitical gamer bro type and is essentially like the byproduct of a, well, essentially bygone era, right? That being of Gamergate. This is exactly how Gamergate operated back during the times of like 2014, 2016. The ramble here is long enough. The preamble here is long enough. Why don't we actually get into the video?
Then, about a week and some change ago, I uploaded a video where I addressed a tweet made by Asmongold, where he claimed the average IQ in Somalia was 68, that this claim isn't racist, but a fact, and that this was an attempt at a narrative push to obscure reality. He was responding to a tweet made by Mehdi Hassan, where Hassan shows a clip of a discussion he had with Piers Morgan broaching this topic. In my video, I set out to do three things. The first was to prove that the claim made by Asmongold wasn't a fact. The second was to prove that it was in fact a racist claim. And the third was to show that due to him being wrong about the first two, that it was in fact Asmongold pushing a narrative, thus demonstrating the irony of his tweet. I spent basically 99% of that video not even talking about Asmongold, but about the claim itself, diving into the history of that claim, where it comes from, and why it was wrong. In less than an hour of—
This is a fact, by the way. I've seen the initial video. Yeah. For the most part, Birdman didn't really give much of a shit at all about what Asmongold was saying, because, like, who the fuck really cares about what Asmongold is saying? Because he's just wrong. Period. End of story. It was just one fucking tweet. It is probably more important to sort of, like, if we're talking about, like, race science bullshit, to talk about, like, why it is fucking wrong. It is based off of nothing. It's based off of, like, some stupid bullshit from, like, British explorers in the 1850s going into fucking Africa with their calipers and just doing, like, skull measurements just for funsies because they had the money to do it and they had literally nothing better to do, okay? That's the basis of fucking eugenics. And that's what shit like Richard Lynn and also Asmongold is unironically believing in, if he's, like, parroting a bunch of, like, talking points saying that Somalis are all 68 IQ, borderline retarded, of course, where it's essentially, like, completely and utter, like, why the study that Richard Lynn did into Somalis was completely fucking worthless because he tried to basically say that it is the case for all sub-Saharan Africans, which is fucking stupid, and also is parroting the sort of position, as stated in the bell curve, that genetics have an effect on IQ, which is just not fucking true, right? If that were the case, and you look at some of the graphs in terms of the raising of fucking IQs throughout, like, the past 100 years, IQs of people, broadly speaking, have gone up fucking significantly. If genetics and evolution had something to do with IQ raises, it would be going up a lot more fucking slowly and not over the course, like, with the massive jump that it had throughout about, like, at least the past 100 fucking years, with broader public education being made available to everybody.
Me uploading my video, Asmongold streamed his response to my video, which he probably will be doing to this video. Hello again, Zach. His response was about what I expected, pausing the video before I could complete a statement, rambling incoherently about things tangentially related to what I said, if that, blatantly lying, and not providing any source to back up the ridiculous claims he made. Oh, and attacking me at the end, claiming I'm a racist that hates white people, which... His strategy of interrupting me before I could finish speaking made it clear to everyone that he can't actually contend with what was being said, because actually allowing me to speak ruins his talking points. So he tried to flip the narrative away from his own ignorance of the topic to one of his canned talking points about inbreeding, and later a weak claim about me that a person that literally argues against racism for a living is a racist. So fine, Pee Wee Herman, you want to make a hasty response? I'm going to slowly cook you. And since you need your handheld, Zach, I'm going to put a symbol on the screen that lets you know when I'm done with a thought, so you don't have to constantly rewind the video to actually hear what I said.
Okay. That's funny. That's really, really fucking funny. Listen, I am a dirty pre-watcher, and I did fucking watch this video previously, but here's the thing, it's still fucking funny, because we're dealing with a fucking child here, effectively. Asmongold has the mind of a literal fucking child. Like, you have to unironically basically just, like, walk him through the fucking positions and arguments, because otherwise, like, he's just gonna, like, bulldoze through, barely understand anything anyways, because we are dealing with someone who is genuinely, like, sub-room temperature fucking IQ. He is really fucking stupid, man. Like, it is incredible just how incredibly fucking dumb this motherfucker right here is.
In one of the most ironic social media posts of all time, Asmongold makes the claim, in response to Mehdi Hassan, that the average IQ in Somalia is 68, and that
I was rounding up, actually. It's like somewhere around 67.67, but yeah.
So this is an example of what I'm talking about, pausing to interject, usually with something irrelevant like this, because I guess he thought that was funny. You see, Zach mistakes talking with actually saying something. A professional yapper, if you will. I suppose he's afraid of allowing someone to fully finish a sentence, lest his brain-dead audience hear something insightful.
This is true.
The sign is on the screen.
Oh, that is actually fucking true. That's, I mean, like, Birdman has pretty much called Asmongold right there to a T, right? Well, honestly, I don't know if I 100% agree with Birdman there. I'm going to be quite honest, because Asmongold is really stupid, and I've interacted with his audience enough to know that they, too, are also really, really fucking dumb. Like, they're probably just not going to inherently understand or purposefully misconstrue the stuff that you're saying anyways, because they're really fucking stupid, guys. Like, I think it's really, really important for me to say this, I think, over and over and over again. Asmongold's audience is really fucking dumb. They are very stupid. And a lot of it is because it's on purpose that they're fucking stupid and being purposefully fucking obtuse, but it's also because they're white nationalists. White nationalists are never really sending their best in terms of, well, intelligence.
Zach, you can respond now. Or did you pause before I said even this? What makes this post ironic is the very last bit where Zach claims Hassan's tweet is an attempt to push a narrative.
It absolutely is trying to push a narrative.
Yes, Zach. We know that's what you believe, buddy. That's
true.
That's why I said that. Let's revisit the tweet Zach was responding to. Mehdi Hassan was having a conversation.
Yeah, the idea that, like, Mehdi Hassan was, like, pushing a fucking narrative there is fucking stupid. Like, it's not. He was talking about, this is like a clip with Piers Morgan where he was just generally saying, like, oh, yeah, dude, like, Piers is just going along with, like, Trump's idiotic fucking bullshit, talking about Somalis being fucking low IQ for, like, literally no fucking reason, when that has been a study that's been actively debunked, like, 70 different ways to Sunday at this point. It's stupid. It is just, like, as Mehdi Hassan is saying, Trump denial syndrome.
With Piers Morgan on his show, Hassan states that Piers has Trump denial syndrome, as Piers denies that Trump is a racist, to which Hassan responds with, he calls Somali people low IQ.
Yes, you have TDS, Piers. You have Trump denial syndrome. When I say to you, is Trump racist? You say no.
Hi, Mehdi.
Racist, even though he calls Somalis low IQ, Piers. Do you agree that Somali people are low IQ? Is that not the most racist thing?
Just to explain, Mehdi, just to explain, this is not your show.
Do you think Somalis are low IQ?
This is not your show, Mehdi.
Do you think Somalis are low IQ?
You don't get to interview me for half an hour. It's not your show.
When I come on your show,
I haven't been silent about any of these things.
So, as we all can see, the context was that Trump was a racist.
Okay, I'm going to be quite honest. Also, I do think that Piers probably does think that Somalis are low IQ. But here's the thing with Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan doesn't fucking believe in anything. He literally believes in nothing because his show basically demands for him to, well, I think to just believe in fucking nothing. Like, because guess what? How is he going to get all of his, like, epic, I don't know, dunkery-doos and fucking clips and shit like this about people yelling at each other belligerently and, like, complete fucking, well, morons? If he, I don't know, runs like a genuinely like honest show about, I don't know, having like people wanting to reach conclusions in a good, honest, good faith fucking debate. Well, that doesn't make for very, very good fucking television. So I don't know, like Piers is just going to make as much of a idiotic fucking spectacle out of all of it as much as possible.
For using white supremacist rhetoric. Asmongold responds to that video with the aforementioned tweet, citing a not only incorrect number, but one put forth by a white supremacist. Remember the context. Hassan's point is that Trump is using racist rhetoric about a topic he very likely hasn't researched. Starting to sound familiar?
It's true.
So I point out the irony of Zach's tweet, that it's him actually pushing a narrative, the narrative being a seed that was planted a long time ago by a racist, repeating racist rhetoric. This was the core thesis of my video, pointing out the irony of this tweet and to debunk the claim at its root while explaining the conditions that Africans face, which accounts for them not having experienced the Flynn effect, or having experienced the Flynn effect to a lesser degree than we of the West. This chart shows that all human groups have experienced significant IQ growth over time, because once again...
And if I recall correctly, basically what the Flynn effect is it's meant to be sort of like an explainer for as to why... I don't 100% remember what the fucking Flynn effect is, but basically it's like it's an explainer for as to why people sort of like IQ scores are what they are for like particular reasons for that. Actually, let me double check the definition on that real quick. I've never been very good at remembering definitions. Flynn effect. Here. Okay, yes. So the Flynn effect is the substantial long-term increase in both fluid and crystallized intelligence test scores measured worldwide throughout the 20th century. Named after James Flynn, it indicates that average IQ scores rose by approximately 3 points per decade, and this, of course, the phenomenon for that being generally attributed to environmental factors rather than genetic changes. Yes. That's what it is. Okay, yes. It is about the changing of IQ scores mostly being attributed to environmental factors rather than, well, it being fucking genetic, like most fucking race scientists and eugenicists like to fucking argue, which is obviously not the fucking case. The Flynn effect directly says, like, actually, no. All the dipshit fucking moron ass, like, racists are just wrong about that. And, well, they really are.
IQ is not genetic, but based on environmental factors. And that right there, the fact that it's not genetic, or me saying that it's not genetic, seemed to turn off the light bulb in the brains of Asmongold and his viewers. They seem to think I said this is what Zach said or believed, and I didn't. I don't know where this talking point came from. I don't expect much intelligence when you're attempting to brigade someone, but I mean, it's almost like these people didn't even watch the video. The vast majority of the video, again, 99% of the runtime, is me talking about the history behind the numbers.
Yeah, that's... Welcome to Asmongold's audience. I am all too aware of this fucking behavior. Very often, if you lay out an argument to Asmongold's fucking audience, and his audience will just, like, brigade it anyways, because for them, they're just operating off of, like, parasociality, pretty much, when it comes to... they basically, like a colony of ants, they sense an attack upon their king, and decide to, I don't know, like, go out like the good little soldiers that they are in order to go defend their fucking master, like, unironically. Like, that is the people that we're generally sort of like dealing with here. They will, at any sort of like perceived slight, they will just go out and attack. It's cringe, it's fucking ridiculous, it is very stupid, and very, very fucking annoying.
Zach used. Here is where I'll give Asmongold some leeway. To be fair to him, he's completely unaware of who I am and what I do, and that makes sense. I'm a much smaller creator, and we are not in the same niche on YouTube. So he has no way to know that in my videos, especially my video essays, I use a particular issue as an opportunity to teach my audience about concepts they may not have known about. So in this video, I explain the origins of the claim Zach made and why it was bad science. And because it's bad science, that we shouldn't be parroting it as if it's a fact. Because if you're parroting bad science as a fact, you're pushing a narrative. And if you're pushing a narrative while claiming others are pushing a narrative, you're committing the sin of irony.
It's trying to push the false narrative that every culture and every group of people has an identical IQ. This is not true. Everybody knows this isn't true. You take 3 seconds and you look at the world and you know it isn't true.
This is why I placed the clip.
Yeah, literally, by the way, I don't think anyone ever makes that fucking claim at any point in time. That's incredibly fucking stupid for Asmongold to fucking say. Nobody is making the fucking goddamn claims that everyone thinks that everyone's IQs is going to be the same at all fucking times for literally everybody. Stupid, dumb, but then again, we're talking about fucking Asmongold here, and he's just not very, very fucking bright, guys.
Peers and Mehdi Hassan in this video so that you all have the context, because we all just heard Asmongold lie, right? In what part of the clip that I showed or didn't show did Mehdi Hassan suggest that every culture has an identical IQ?
Never did.
Oh, the sign is on the screen, Zach. You can reply now. And I think you don't actually have an answer, because that didn't happen. So what you're going to do is ramble about something I didn't ask. Answer my question. Where did Mehdi Hassan say that in the clip? Oh, he didn't? Right. So in reality, your framing of this issue is something you've made up because you're culture warring here and wanted to parrot a long discredited talking point.
This is also true. That's, generally speaking, like, pretty much accurate. That is, like, Asmongold in a fucking nutshell. If at any point in time he can just do his, like, 3 IQ fucking goddamn, like, culture war fucking talking point bullshit, that's pretty much the only thing that he will ever do. Because would you guys fucking believe me if I said that Asmongold, fundamentally speaking, doesn't really believe in much of anything?
Gold's attempt to push a narrative, but the claim itself that African people have low IQs is also an attempt to push a narrative.
Yeah.
That number typically traces back to the war.
There's also a lot of other components to why people have low IQ, and it's not necessarily race. I'm sure that race is a component, but I would say it's probably like a 4th or 5th level component.
On this point, you and I half agree. First of all, race as a biological concept is not a real thing.
That is true.
I paused to let you cope for a second. I know that's what you want to believe, Zach, but I'm sorry, the scientific consensus simply disagrees with you. The American Association of Biological Anthropologists clearly state that race does not provide an accurate representation of human biological variation. They go on to state that the Western concept of race must be understood as a classification system that emerged from and in support of European colonialism, oppression, and discrimination.
Yep, it's always been, again, and specifically, the reason why it started to emerge is because of... Oh, the scramble for fucking Africa. Who would have fucking thought? And also it was used to justify, well, slavery. Transnational, transnational, yes, but also transatlantic fucking slavery by, well, the Americas and also the Europeans. They used racism as a construct in order to be able to, well, justify the dehumanization of other fucking peoples.
Does not have its roots in biological reality, but in policies of discrimination. So in that respect, race is real, but only in the sociological sense, or how we treat each other, i.e., racism. Where we agree is that genetics can play a factor in one's ability or capacity to learn. For example, someone born with Down syndrome potentially has a more difficult time than someone who does not. But as stated, there is no broadly accepted scientific evidence that any socially defined human group is genetically predisposed to having a lower ability to learn than any other, and I challenge you to provide evidence to the contrary. You can't, and I know you can't, so you'll just cope and say that they won't allow it to be studied. Like a flat earther.
Well, I mean, okay, because here's the fucking thing. Birdman, not that I'm having any qualms with what Birdman is saying here. Birdman is, again, 100% correct in everything that he's saying here, right? There's no argument here. Asmongold is just purely fucking wrong. The problem is that with people like him and the audience that he basically has, they're just going to inherently believe that it's just right anyways, because the ideology that they prescribe to, and this is what it is purely speaking, which is why I prefer to criticize people like Asmongold on an ideological sort of basis rather than a scientific basis, right? The ideology that he has, and that being of course, white nationalism, has to make it such that he believes that the white race is inherently superior in comparison to that of other races, right? Because again, he's just a fucking white nationalist. Period. End of fucking goddamn story. And everything that he does and says and believes in has to essentially align with that particular sort of, well, ideology. It's silly, it's ridiculous, it's fucking nonsensical, and it is, as anyone else can easily point out, fucking stupid for many, many fucking various reasons. Because the problem is, with someone like Asmongold, specifically, he doesn't actually really believe in much of any, because I think he's like too stupid to fucking believe in really much of anything. I'm gonna be quite honest, right? Like, the only reason why Asmongold, again, there's a reason why I brought up fucking Gamergate and all this stuff before. The only reason why Asmongold even started doing politics to begin with was because he just started engaging in a lot of, like, anti-woke fucking grifter content. Which is why I do think, like, people like Birdman, like Otterly Noah, and a bunch of the other, like, anti-woke sort of, anti-grifter sort of crowds, the people who go after the anti-woke grifters, I think are quite valuable in reality, right? Because, as you said yourself before, Zane, it's meant to show to the fucking, well, people, the masses, that these people, when they put out their statements, it is purely for a ideological perspective in order for them to make, like you're saying right now, a bunch of fucking money, right? Because unfortunately, given the media environment that we find ourselves under, it's very... You make a lot of money. It's incredibly efficacious in terms of being able to gain social media prominence and also general sort of attention in the current attention economy that we find ourselves under, to just be a grifting fucking racist, to basically just believe in literally nothing and just say a bunch of shit in order to just garner a bunch of attention and clicks online. Because guess what? Gamergate and all of these fucking dipshits, you know, all the, like, right-wingers who love to, I don't know, basically get mad about the fact that you clickbait your fucking titles, for fuck's sake, because I've had right-wingers get mad about at me for that specifically. It's stupid. They don't recognize, it's like, you guys are aware that you are the ones who made this environment. You guys literally created this. So it's like, what do you want? It's incredibly fucking stupid. But that's because these people, in reality, they don't actually believe in much of anything.
So the big reason is you got the big three, right? Two of them are like kind of harder to say, and the last one is like a little bit harder. It's a little bit more obvious. Inbreeding is number one. Do you think that inbreeding is going to lower people's IQ or not? Do you think that a society full of people that are inbreeding are going to have low IQs? Is it going to fuck up people's brains? Absolutely.
Hey, Asmongold, I have some bad news for you, but all of the European royal families during feudalism, they did a lot of fucking goddamn inbreeding. And they mostly had some fucked up faces, let's be honest here. Were they all incredibly stupid? No, I would probably say that they were, on average, way more stupid than your average fucking European peasant, or operating on the sort of, like, general sort of same intelligence level as a average European fucking peasant, because they are out of touch fucking elitist, well, billionaires of their times. That's why they're fucking stupid. It's not because of, I don't know, them always being, like, all about incestuous and just inbreeding all the fucking time. Nah, those guys are just stupid because they're just really stupid because of, again, material fucking conditions. That funny little, our funny little fucking favorite Santa man known as Karl Marx would say it's a byproduct of people's fucking material conditions.
Absolutely it is.
Well, fortunately, we have a study for that. In 2018, Johnson, Evans, and Keller published a study analyzing homozygosity in 400,000 people. In case that's too big a word for you, Zach, homozygosity simply means inheriting two identical alleles for a gene. Inbreeding increases the probability of homozygosity, or autozygosity, which can increase the expression of harmful recessive disorders. Anyway, in this study, they found a small negative association between genome-wide homozygosity and fluid intelligence, or our ability to reason through novel problems, which is a major component of IQ testing. However, when controlling for socioeconomic variables such as education and income, the strength of that association weakens substantially. In other words, once they accounted for things like education, income, and social environment, the link between genome-wide homozygosity and lower fluid intelligence...
Which is, by the way, the broader sort of... Which is what the Flynn effect would argue, and broadly speaking, what the general sort of, well, anti-racists would also argue, saying, like, no, there is just zero fucking relevance to any of this whatsoever. The biggest sort of factor is going to be material conditions and also fucking poverty, or rather just, like, that is just material conditions. You know what I mean. Environment. That's what it is. Material conditions and environment. Those are the two biggest factors in particular which contribute to someone's IQ being lower or higher, which is why, generally speaking, it's not really a good measurement for general sort of fucking intelligence.
Mostly shrank. This aligns with the broader point that one's environment plays the biggest role in determining the outcome of an IQ test. Science. They already thought of that. As an aside, I've noticed
true, they didn't think of
the
this.
results of a study, Asmongold likes to do this thing where when he hears a study disagreeing with him, he'll either pretend that it's agreeing with him,
Unfortunately, no, Zane.
non sequitur. It's quite embarrassing, actually. You'll see him try.
Honestly, let's be honest here, Zach. given the fact that there have been studies done talking about the environmental sort of byproducts and sort of effects on people's sort of IQ in terms of how they're able to critically think and problem solve, I would honestly be unsurprised if Asmongold was as stupid as he was, because he generally lives in an incredibly fucking squalor environment.
This when I read off a study showing the numbers he posted in his tweet were too low. So what I'm expecting here is him, instead of accepting that inbreeding isn't as detrimental to one's IQ as he's stating, he'll instead instruct his moronic audience to say that I, the Birdman, am advocating for inbreeding. It's very predictable and a sign of someone having lost the debate but being too much of a bitch to admit that he was wrong.
That's true.
You also have the amount of nutrition. You have food. So if you take people that are inbred, that have no food, you are going to have people that have extremely low IQs. This is just obvious. And the prop...
Okay, Asmongold, all you do is you sip on big sips and eat beef jerky every day and eat, eat takeout food. That's a dog shit fucking diet. Are you saying that your fucking low IQ is a byproduct, perhaps, of... not because of inbreeding, but just because of the environment that you may be growing yourself up in? Nah, I'm just saying. That is true, there, Zane. I was also about to mention something like that. Yes, but you are correct. Asmongold's audience and social environment, rather, is also filled with a bunch of dumbass chuds. There's a reason why I brought up earlier some of the history into Asmongold to sort of act as a... I don't know if Birdman ever somehow runs into this fucking video. First off, hello. Big fan. If he ever does run into this video, there's a reason why I explained the history of, who Asmongold, generally speaking, was, and for as to how he sort of ended up getting here. I think it's important context to sort of assess the main reasonings for as to why Asmongold is as much of a fucking idiot that he is right now, and why he is a white nationalist.
Problem is that some people want to pretend like this isn't the case, but it's very evident that it is, because your brain isn't getting the nutrients that it needs. Now, I think that, again, if you really even assign all of that and you remove all of that...
Again, this is the same dude, by the way, who literally eats nothing but big beef jerky, takes a bunch of big gulps, and just has fucking takeout every fucking goddamn day, and lives in an incredibly fucking squalor environment. Yeah, it is rich coming from this dude, who eats like complete dog shit.
Very clearly, there probably are some degree of racial differences, but the main factors are inbreeding and nutrition. That's a massive fucking factor.
You're nullifying your own argument here, Zach. For those that are unaware, Asmongold doesn't want Somali immigrants in the United States. His reasoning is, among other things, they are low IQ. But he's contradicting his own argument here by admitting their environment plays a part. If Somali people immigrated to the United States, they would then have the environmental factors that we both agree would raise one's IQ scores, meaning his argument about IQ is not only a massive deflection, it's also an internal contradiction. Everyone who knows anything about IQ understands that IQ is not static, even Zach here. Otherwise, there is no point in him talking about their environment.
There's also a lot of other components to why people have...
Which is why, by the way, I literally mentioned earlier, the reason why Asmongold is probably as much of a fucking idiot that he is right now is probably because of the environment that he's currently in, right? He lives in an incredibly, and I mean an incredibly fucking squalor environment. Very, very much so. An incredibly fucking squalor environment. He lives in just like... I'm trying to think of what the best way exactly is to describe the environment that Asmongold currently lives in, but I can't really think of anything else besides just completely and utterly disgusting.
IQ, and it's not necessarily race. I'm sure that race is a component, but I would say it's probably like a 4th or 5th level component. You also have the amount of nutrition. You have food.
So he's acknowledged a causal factor, but is actively attempting to block the mechanism that would change the outcome.
That's true.
And also, if you look at the way that people from Somalia have integrated into British culture, how they've integrated into American culture, how they've come from, let's say, Japan, you will see one common variable every single time. It's that these people are total drains on the society. They are massively problematic. They're scamming.
Yeah, by the way, there's literally zero evidence that this is the case. This is him basically parroting the fucking point from that Nick Shirley fucking video, which was also a complete, utter fucking lie. Immigrants that have always come to the United States of America have been significant boons in terms of the fucking tax structure of the United States. Asmongold, do you not know that illegal immigrants, they do not receive any social benefits from the US social safety net, but they still pay fucking taxes? Well, that's a little interesting. I thought the basis of the United States of America was because of taxation without any representation. But here's a bunch of people who have no representation who are getting fucking taxed. Little interesting, isn't it?
They steal things, they do not integrate, and at the end of the day, they are a negative for the societies that they come to.
Also, what? By the way, what were the two other countries that he mentioned? He mentioned also the British, right? He mentioned England. I assume, if I were to make a bet, probably something similar, that they also still are a significant contributing factor to the economy of the British. And he also said Japan. Is there a big contingent of Somali people in fucking Japan, by the way? Is there? I have no fucking idea. The Birdman's probably going to get into that.
Oh, I was waiting for Zach to substantiate that claim with any kind of evidence, but I guess that ain't coming. I guess we'll have to do the
He'll never do
hand-holding
that.
His audience usually has to do for him. Zach mentioned 3 societies where Somali people have integrated: British, American, and Japanese. He claims that Somali people have been a drain on these societies and that they are a negative. These are nebulous words with no real meaning, because he could be talking about a number of different things, and should we pin him...
Undocumented immigrants pay significant amounts into various taxes, with recent analyses indicating they contributed approximately $96.7 billion in federal, state, and local taxes in 2022. Thank you very much for that, Zane. Yeah. About $97 billion. $97 billion is what they fucking contributed, Asmongold. But I guess you're just going to say that they're a fucking drain on the society of the United States of America. Stupid. And besides... Somali people have, broadly speaking, integrated with the fucking societies, and they all are hardworking, God-fearing American fucking citizens. Or I guess in this case, Allah-fearing fucking American citizens. Nah, no difference.
down on one thing, he'll commit the Mott and Bailey fallacy, which he'll probably do while streaming his reaction to this video. But let's try anyway and see which corner he paints himself into next. Let's talk about our home country first, the United States. There are about 200
upside down flag is funny.
heritage in the United States, 32% of whom are concentrated in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, the largest enclave of Somali people in the country. 58% of that population in Minnesota are American-born citizens, meaning they are due the rights and privileges of anyone born in this country according to the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. The
True.
Somali population has an estimated $8 billion positive...
And by the way, we don't even know how many of those people have been naturalized citizens as well, right? We don't even know if all of the first comers who basically came in the 90s vis-a-vis the refugee program in Somalia because of a byproduct of the fucking Civil War. That's why there's a bunch of Somalians that live in fucking Minnesota, for example, and across the United States of America because of the Civil War that the U.S. had a hand in creating alongside the Soviet Union. Imperialist fucking powers vying for control of a poorer fucking African nation. You know, pretty standard stuff. Almost as if this happens consistently throughout history, and it's called historical materialism, Asmongold, but whatever. You don't give a shit about any of that stuff. These people have come over, are contributing members of society. They all fucking pay their taxes. They work. They're economically fucking productive, and you just want to kick them out for what exactly? Oh, their skin color is a little too fucking brown for your taste or something. It's stupid. It's incredibly fucking dumb. And here's the thing. A bunch of those people, with my initial point, who are coming off of the boat, you know, in order to integrate or start living in America specifically, what are they more than likely going to do? Go through the process of naturalization, which means they'll also have protections under the 14th fucking Amendment. They're going to go through the processes of becoming naturalized fucking citizens, which, guess what? The party you support, the Republicans, have done everything possible in order to defund those sort of programs in order to do what exactly? Have a political issue that they can fucking run on. Stupid.
Economic impact while paying $67 million in state and local taxes annually. Remember, the Somali population in Minnesota is only about 100,000 people, and 42% are minors. That leaves an adult population of roughly 58,000 people. Yet this relatively small community is tied to an estimated $8 billion in economic activity across Minnesota. In Asmongold's Looney Tune-ass world, that's a drain.
That's a lot of fucking money. $8 billion from about 100,000 people who all work. But yeah, that's a drain, guys.
Okay, but what about welfare? There's a talking point floating around that 81% of Somali households are on welfare. This
They're
is
not.
misleading. The correct statistic is that 81% of Somali households have used at least one public assistance program, most commonly healthcare or food support. What's also left out is that Somali migration to the United States has largely been refugee migration, not economic immigration. Refugees arrive with few resources after fleeing war, so the type of welfare they utilize is temporary public assistance as part of the United States refugee resettlement policy. See? It's right here. But what is the cost of that welfare, I'm hearing you ask? Well, we have that information too, directly from the ASPE, and I quote, refugees and asylees contributed more revenue than they cost in expenditures to the government.
Oops.
The sign is on the screen.
Oh man, you're telling me that the refugees who, generally speaking, and I believe who have come over in order to have a better life for themselves after fleeing from war, end up being net contributors to society. And people wonder why. Oh, a lot of people want to bring in fucking migrants. This is fucking why. Jesus Christ. Not to say that it is I don't think it's like the perfect solution in terms of being able to fix an economy. I don't think it's a perfect fucking solution, right? It's a solution to a problem that has been created by a lot of the colonial and imperialistic actions by either the United States, Britain, the Russians, the Chinese, what have you, right? I don't think it's an optimal solution. Just bringing in a bunch of migrants to fix your fucking problems, forehead. I disagree with that. I think it's a temporary solution to something that should be more broadly overall fixed, right? The domestic policies that have made it such that it's impossible for people to be able to, live within Western fucking countries. And it's because of the fact that a lot of money gets funneled up to the fucking top. That's the biggest fucking problem. A bunch of corporations, billionaires, and other politicians basically all working in tandem with one another to essentially funnel as much wealth and social sort of, not social, but basically as much wealth as possible to the hands of a smaller and smaller few select people and corporations. That is the fucking problem. But does Asmongold care about fixing a problem like that in particular? No.
Zach, you can interject with your bullshit cope now, but I'm very curious what you're going to say. My guess is this data that directly comes from the United States government is biased somehow. Anyway, it doesn't matter because since the government began analyzing fiscal impacts by immigration status, the data has consistently shown that immigrants and their descendants contribute more in taxes over the long term than they receive in public benefits. Economic estimates place their net fiscal contribution at over $14 trillion, meaning immigration has significantly strengthened the U.S. tax base rather than draining it. When it comes to the United States, you are wrong. Now let's talk about the UK. There are even less Somali people in the UK than there are in the United States, accounting for 0.33% of the resident population. The overwhelming majority of British Somali people speak English as their first language, with over 74% of those who don't speak English as a first language stating they spoke English well, demonstrating that the majority of Somali people are integrating into British society,
integrating
at least
that.
based off their language skills. 66% of British Somalis report having good health, and you see a natural decline as one ages, which is expected for all human populations. British Somalis are less likely to be employed compared to the rest of the population due to a couple of factors as outlined by the same census report. Higher unemployment among Somalis in the UK mostly comes down to the fact that many arrived as refugees after Somalia's civil war in the 90s, not economic migrants. A lot of first-generation arrivals had disrupted schooling, limited English, or job credentials that didn't transfer to the UK. On top of that, the population itself is...
Which is, by the way, very, very common for all fucking migrants, right? My parents, because guess what? Immigrant here. My parents, for example, had troubles integrating and finding work initially in, Canada because of the fact that a lot of because the degrees that they earned from university and a lot of the work that they didn't transfer all that well into, the new fucking country that they moved in. This is an incredibly common problem for migrants in general. Not just for refugees, but migrants in general. Especially if you are from, former fucking Soviet bloc countries.
very young, meaning a large chunk of that are still in school or just entering the workforce. As those barriers fade and
Sure.
the second generation grows up with UK education and language skills, employment rates tend to improve, something that's pretty common with all refugee communities.
That's everyone.
All of this data suggests that Somalis are a relatively normal immigrant population that doesn't produce an inherent drain on their host country simply due to them being Somali. Just like in the United States, they contribute positively overall to the economic framework of the country, and we have examples of the Somali population revitalizing neglected commercial areas in cities like Birmingham and Cardiff. Looks like you're 0 for 2 there, Zach. But,
And by the way, this is also the same argument that you can make in the United States of America as well. In the United States of America, what's that name of the city in fucking Ohio? I'm really bad with names. You guys know how terrible I am with names. That's in Springfield. Springfield, Ohio? Something Ohio. Yeah, Springfield. Okay, I'm not forgetting the name. Thank you, Point Spinny. Yeah, in Springfield, Ohio, a town which was basically completely dying off because of the loss of the manufacturing base that used to exist there, Haitian migrants all started moving in there because of a program incentivizing them to move there. So they started, well, naturally fucking moving there, obviously. Duh. And it had a help in terms of revitalizing not only the jobs in that fucking town, but also its economy as well. With those migrants specifically being a huge fucking boon to the general sort of population of Springfield, Ohio, where a lot of the local business owners in Springfield, Ohio, were expressing concerns consistently, saying like, yeah, I really hope that we do not lose the Haitian migrants that we have living with us over here, because they have been just such a help for us and for our economy to be able to sort of like make sure that our town doesn't fucking end up dying off.
I'm sure Japan will surely save your argument, right? Here is a map of the global distribution of the Somali diaspora by country. You might notice that Japan is gray. Well, this is because there are fewer than 500 Somali individuals in Japan, with the
It's fucking negligible. And by the way, the only reason why Japan is brought up here is because Asmongold, since he is a white nationalist, has an audience full of white nationalists, and these guys have a psychosexual, Freudian-like obsession with Japan, thinking that it needs to be, well, pure and white like the United States of America. It's just a pure Freudian psychosexual obsession with, well, Asians. Purely oriental, very, very fucking psychosexual and weird. Cultural, like internet cultural osmosis type shit. Yeah, that is true there, Alex. Johnny Somali is in Korea. I do believe he was also in, Japan, just doing his, like, general fucking nuisance shit, but whatever. I mean, unfortunately, Zane, Japan is becoming more fucking xenophobic.
best estimates we have ranging from about 100 to 300 individuals, most of whom are students. In a country whose 124 million population is 98% homogenous, I'm sure the 300 Somalis in Japan are total drains on the economy.
Yeah, dude.
I'm sorry.
Those blasted Somalis.
It's an allergy that I have. Asmongold fans, ask yourself why Zach just made a claim for which there is literally zero evidence. I urge any of you to type this into Google, asking it, what is the population number for Somalis in Japan?
It's because of... listen, I'll answer the question. I can answer the question. Well, I'm not an Asmongold fan, but I can answer the question. It's because all these people have a psychosexual obsession with Japan. That's what it is. It's purely like some weird fucking obsession that they have. That's it.
Japan. And you'll see something like this pop up where there exists literally no census data on Somalis in Japan. So, dear Asmongold viewer, how in the fuck did Zach know Somalis are an economic drain in Japan when not even Japan knows that information? Sounds like someone is pushing a narrative, doesn't it?
True.
So why would you bring in all of these people that have such a high rate of there being a negative outcome? Why would you ever do that? It's stupid.
Sounds like Zach is describing Westerners visiting Japan, doesn't it? Anyway, this is an ideological fallacy, and he's doing this because he doesn't have empirical data to support his conclusions. He's tying in multiple different concepts to scare you into objecting to immigration. He even brings up female genital mutilation.
Do you want to know what the percentage of women who are victims of female genital mutilation are in Somalia? 99%. I'm not kidding.
See? He did say that.
Why the fuck are you, like, what is the point of bringing up fucking female genital mutilation? What, do you think that the barbarian hordes of fucking Somalis are all just going to come in and chop off, like, women's fucking labias or some shit? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's stupid. Like, oh yeah, dude, Somali culture has an inherent proclivity to want to just chop off, like, female fucking labias or some shit. It's stupid. It's fucking nonsensical, but he's just doing this because he has to, like, jingle some fucking goddamn keys and make people fucking scared. That's, like, literally the point of him bringing this up. Stupid.
The problem with his claims is that we have a control group already in the United States, the Somali American population. First of all, Somali immigrants overall are incarcerated less than native-born Americans, period. And while we're on the topic of Somali females...
In fact, not just Somalis, right? But that's every migrant population. Should be fairly obvious why. There is not as many of them in comparison to the majority population, but every migrant population that exists within the United States of America has a lower sort of, well, a lower incarceration rate in comparison to naturally born citizens within the United States of America. I don't think 99% is the real statistics, if Birdman already doesn't. I don't think it necessarily matters 100% point, Vinny.
Zach's claim about female genital mutilation is true, but again, he's forgetting we have a control group that refutes his conclusion. This is a study highlighting the fact that upon immigrating to a new host country where the practice is frowned upon and or illegal, migrants change their attitudes on female genital mutilation. And yes,
that's
the study
true.
refers specifically to Somalis in Western countries, stating plainly that the overwhelming majority of Somali immigrants become opponents of the practice. Sounds like integration, don't it? This is once again an example of Zach acknowledging a causal factor.
I can't, but I was being told by the Roach Guide that people aren't fucking integrating. What the heck is going on here? Now, it is great, like, this isn't meant to be a criticism here of Birdman, because what he's doing here is overall good, but bringing up fucking studies is not going to be effective for these people, because they just don't give a shit, right? The point is the fucking racism with these people. Now, obviously, he's building up to a particular fucking conclusion. A conclusion which I obviously fucking agree with. That Asmongold is a fucking racist. He is a white nationalist overall. And all of the fucking people who bring this shit up are all also white nationalists themselves. Period. End of fucking story, right? We can all fucking acknowledge this, right? That's the easiest, most obvious conclusion you can come away with. And for all the Asmongold fucking dipshits and morons who will just come in here and saying like, you're just poisoning the well and you're just operating off of that conclusion that you just sort of reached. It's like, no, dude. Like, I've done more than enough, like, looking into Asmongold's, like, generic, like, idiotic commentary and bullshit in general. Everyone can, broadly speaking, agree with the fact that he's just a fucking racist little bro. You can cope and fucking seethe about the fact that he's just a racist, bro. He's just racist. Occam's fucking razor is sometimes true, dipshit, whether you fucking like it or not. He is just a piece of garbage. Like, period, end of story. And sometimes it really is just as easy as just saying, like, yep, piece of shit, nothing else really there is to basically say about that in particular, right? So, again, for people like this, bringing up studies is effectively useless because they don't care about that. These people are, broadly speaking, incredibly fucking goddamn intellectual, right? These people think that bringing up fucking studies means that you're siding with them, quote unquote, and they'll start fucking unironically, like the parentheses posting, generally speaking, right? Like, it's stupid. It's fucking incredibly dumb.
But actively attempting to block the mechanism that would change the behavior. This is a form of concern trolling, where Zach doesn't give a fuck about female genital mutilation, but pretends he does so that he can use this as a reason to block immigration, while simultaneously not realizing that immigration would actually save women from this practice. Any other half-truth you want to scare us with, Zach? Because I got time today.
If you look up the World Health Organization, and they have a study on this, 99% of women in Somalia are victims of female genital mutilation. I don't want to import that culture into my country. I don't want to take the risk that I'm importing that culture into my country. Asmongold,
you're incredibly fucking shitty and misogynistic all the fucking time to women, okay? You don't give a shit about what women's rights, and if you had the ability to repeal the 19th Amendment, you fucking would have by now, okay? You don't give a shit about any of that stuff, okay? You've done the whole sort of, like, I don't know, being mad at liberal wine moms for being too much on the fucking left, okay? You don't give a shit about any of this stuff. Period. End of story. You're just saying all of this fucking bullshit because, oh, you just want to talk about how much you dislike fucking Somali migrants and just want to limit people from being able to migrate into, oh.
The American people are tired of women.
Yes, thank you, Zane. And just want to talk about how much you do not want immigrants to be able to come into the United States of America. You're full of shit, and nobody fucking likes you, dumbass. If anything, people would prefer for you to be deported instead.
I don't want them here.
No one wants you here.
This guy, a literal, self-described scientific racist.
What does that have to do with whether it's right or not? You're calling somebody a word. What does that have to do with this?
You see, Zach, you're watching a video essay where I, the essayist, present a thesis or multiple theses and then support that thesis with, hopefully, a bevy of evidence. One of the theses of this video was that this claim that you are spreading is a racist claim. In order to prove that, I explained the origins of that claim, that being purposefully bad data collection from a self-proclaimed racist whose goal was to show that black people are inferior to white people. There exists no nationally representative study performed on the IQ of Somali people in Somalia. Lynn's data was extrapolated from neighboring regions, notably from refugee children in a camp in Kenya, and then he randomly decided to use that data for other unrelated countries because to him, him, the thousands of ethnic groups in Africa are all the same. Malnourished
That's true.
children in refugee camps. So, the tweet you made is a number that doesn't exist because they never tested Somalis in Somalia, you dolt. Because you are pausing the video before I can finish my thought, all you heard was your trigger word, and that caused you to completely miss the point. What's funny about this is you're a fucking hypocrite. You literally do exactly what you just attempted to criticize me for later in this stream, where you show me arguing with racists on Twitter and stupidly conclude that I'm racist against white people.
He complains about racism, and he makes videos, negative videos about Charlie Kirk, and then he goes on Twitter, and he's...
What video about... Okay, hold on. I've watched a lot of the exposing the Grift videos from Birdman, okay? Myself, okay? I've seen, like, basically, like, all of them. There is no fucking video where fucking Birdman basically makes a disparaging comment against fucking Charlie Kirk. That's just not a thing. That's nonsense. There's just no evidence or basis for this whatsoever. Incredibly fucking stupid.
Just profoundly racist towards white people, and he crashes out and complains about them.
Think about that for a second. I'm arguing against racism, and your conclusion was that I hate white people. Sounds like you think all white people are racist, Zach. This man was part of a secret eugenics conference where, and I'm not joking, there were people favorably arguing in favor of pedophilia. So
That's obviously bad, but you know what's even worse is probably the fact that pedophilia is normalized over in Somalia. If you're going to act like that's bad, why don't you look at what they're doing?
Hey, Asmongold, you live in the United States of America where child beauty pageants and child fucking, what's the term? It's the child fucking marriage shit is legal still in 34 fucking states, buddy. 34 fucking states. Child marriage is still fucking legal in a vast majority of the states of the United States of America. You want to fucking, like, bitch, moan, and fucking goddamn complain about, child marriage within Somalia? Might want to fucking do some reflection inward and take a look at what's going on in the United States of America, you dipshit.
Whenever they're getting married.
Zach is...
Somalia recently upped their age of consent to 18. Meanwhile, the U.S., yeah, from what I recall, Boy Meets Mini, the age of consent depends on the state.
Overreaching with this claim. Somalia doesn't normalize PDF files. What he's trying but failing to articulate is that Somalia has a child marriage problem. These are two distinct concepts because in this context, the child marriage that occurs in Somalia is largely between older teenagers and someone in their early 20s. Granted, I don't condone this practice, but marriage in Somalia is often arranged by the two families, so that is not a case of someone being attracted to a prepubescent, but a society following very old customs based around marriage after.
Yeah, by the way, guess what? Who also did that? Basically marriage by dowries. Every fucking goddamn Protestant religion on the fucking planet, Asmongold. Literally Protestants fucking did that shit. They would marry off their fucking daughters to have a certain sort of deal be bequeathed upon the beneficial family. Unironically, like, marrying off sometimes fucking children to older fucking men in the United States in about the 1800s and 1700s and shit like this to get a fucking dowry. And this was a practice that was broadly speaking practiced throughout Europe. Very, very commonly practiced throughout Europe. And is still practiced in certain fucking places to this day.
One has gone through puberty. This is the same logic that 34 states in the United States currently follow. I mean, the state as...
Oh, hey. I said that. Crazy.
Gold is from is the 10th ranked state in child marriage, with nearly 40,000 child marriages registered in a 15-year span.
And by the way, we take a look at this list of states right here. Guess all of the people that these motherfuckers vote for. In 9 out of 10 of these states, they're fucking Republican states, Asmongold. Republican states. It's almost as if, again, when it comes to conservatives, it's not pedocon theory, it's pedocon law.
But I digress. I'm certain PDF files do occur in Somalia, as they do in literally every society on Earth. But Zach is hoping you all won't know the difference between these two concepts because, once again, his goal is to push a narrative. It's also not even a refutation. I stated in my video that Lynn was a part of a secret society where members attempted to normalize child sexual abuse, further demonstrating that Lynn is not a source you want to be citing, as his discernment is clearly questionable. We are not talking...
Listen, Birdman, when it comes to, again... It's pedocon fucking law with these people, okay? Like, if you are a conservative, listen, I'm going to be inherently fucking dishonest here a little bit. If you're just a conservative, the likelihood of you being a fucking pedophile goes up significantly. Period, end of story. And there's a reason for that. Conservatives do not think of children as humans. They do not think of them as people who have their own will, their own sort of ability to make decisions. They do not think of them as human. They see them as homunculi, as things, as simulacra. Things to have orders imprinted upon and thoughts and beliefs to basically be written into their fucking minds and their memories, right? That's what conservatives, generally speaking, think of children, which is why, broadly speaking, when it comes to, sexual impropriety with fucking children, it's going to be very often conservatives who are, doing that impropriety to those children.
About underage marriage that might have been arranged due to certain cultural customs. We're talking about old men in a Western country actively wanting to sodomize children while they were sleeping. So nice try, but failed whataboutism.
That's true. Yeah. Richard Lynn did probably want to rape kids.
Lynn published a paper in 1982 called IQ in Africa in the pseudoscientific journal The Mankind Quarterly, a white supremacist outlet that is currently...
See, he's trying to poison
exactly.
by saying that things are pseudoscientific, saying they're white supremacist, etc. You're not actually attacking the argument. You're not actually attacking anything that's being said.
Well, no, the reason he's not attacking the argument is because there is no fucking argument to be made. Period, end of story. The shit that Richard Lynn believes in. And by the way, this is how you know these fucking dipshits are losing the fucking argument, is when they start pulling out random logical fallacies that they have no idea what they mean. No absolute fucking idea what they mean.
You're not actually listening to the argument. First of all, you literally have the video paused where it clearly states the journal is pseudoscientific. Your attempt at claiming I'm poisoning the well because I'm literally communicating what the literature says is only convincing no one. Second, this is a video essay where one of the theses is that the person whose claim you're using is not doing actual science. Specifically mentioning that he published his findings in a pseudoscientific journal tells you everything you need to know. There's a reason Lynn couldn't survive peer review and had to publish in fringe publications. He was widely discredited on this topic. Again, because this is a video essay.
Again, a bunch of different scientists came out against Lynn's findings and said they were all fucking stupid. By the way, whenever any of these motherfuckers say that you're poisoning the well, trust me, I've seen these, because I assume Birdman probably got all the exact same fucking comments as well, where you're quote-unquote poisoning the well, using ad hominems and all these like logical fallacies that they definitely do not understand what the fucking meaning of them is exactly, just because you say some swear words a bunch or some shit. Stupid, obviously. That is not an actual debunking of an argument that I, or say the Birdman, are fucking making. You people are fucking stupid. Stop using logical fallacies and pretending you know what they mean. You do not know what they mean. You are an idiot. Shut the fuck up.
Going to later support my claims, which I did by showing a study by Wichards debunking Lynn's claims. This is pseudoscience. This is why he published in a pseudoscientific journal. Real science survives scrutiny and has results that are replicable. Pseudoscience has to hide because it's bullshit. You are repeating bullshit.
You're assigning negative variables and negative attributes to it, and then hoping that people, because of those negative variables and attributes that you're assigning to it, will assume that it's wrong because they're not supposed to agree with things that have these attributes.
Yeah, man, totally. That's exactly what he's fucking doing there. Okay, bro. Nice fucking meme. What exactly? That it is pseudoscientific? It is pseudoscientific. Yeah, you're being negative. You're not attacking the argument. It's like, the reason why these negative attributes are being attributed to Richard Lynn and Mankind Quarterly is because, broadly speaking, people got together, took a look at the output of that scientific journal, quote unquote, and said, wow, this is a bunch of bullshit, guys, isn't it? It's like, yeah, this is a bunch of bullshit, guys, isn't it? Because they tried to replicate the results, and they were just like, yeah, I'm not replicating this, because people who actually care about doing science and following through with the scientific method and aren't looking to push a fucking narrative like yourself, Asmongold, took a look at it and said, this is a bunch of bunk and a bunch of bullshit. We're just going to make fun of these assholes now instead, which is what you're supposed to do, and attribute negative things to them.
That's what he's doing. It's dishonest.
You mean things that the scientific community has rejected? Yes, I do expect the
audience that's what I said as well.
Experts on a topic, listen to what the experts say, and understand what a scientific consensus is. If all of the scientific community has rejected this claim, what exactly do you expect me to do here? Are you arguing that we should listen to flat earthers just because they've made a claim? People have already...
Yes, they do actually believe that. And this is, again, not that what Birdman is saying here is wrong. He's not saying anything that's wrong. But for these people who, broadly speaking, these fascists, these white supremacists, these white nationalists who do not believe in empiricism, they do not believe in the scientific method, they do not believe in intellectualism, they want you to believe in their like schizophrenic like conspiracy theories and like complete dreck and nonsense they put out in the world, because it's like, well, I said this thing and you have to confirm it because obviously I'm the stronger guy here, so therefore you have to inherently listen to it. It's like, but it's like, that's not how that works. That's not how science works. That's not how scientific consensus is made. It's like, no, I don't care. Fuck you. Science only works for them, quote unquote, as I do, I don't know, all the stupid, like, the air quotations when these people, like, parrot their idiotic fucking conspiracy theories. And, bitch and like moan and complain about like science being too overly woke because it doesn't align with my fucking particular political views that I have at this moment. It's stupid. It's incredibly nonsensical. It's lazy. And guess what? That's why you always just have to make fun of these fucking dipshits.
Done this work, and the person you're quoting has been debunked and discredited already. But I do understand what you're trying to do here, Asmongold. People have labeled you all manner of unsavory things, and you're attempting to refute those claims against you by using me and my video as a proxy. You know, the old, you called me racist, but am I wrong? Technique that only works on extremely stupid people. Again,
True.
This is literally something you do to me later in this stream.
By the way, they are all just fucking wrong and stupid.
Maintained by the hilariously named Human Diversity Foundation.
Yep. Because there's diversity between humans. That's correct.
What the fuck was that?
Okay.
What are these weird tics you have where you just say random things? You didn't refute anything, nor did you clarify why their name isn't ironic, which is what I was pointing out. You know you can just shut the fuck up and let the video play, right? Far-right white nationalists.
I'll be honest, I have a problem with that sometimes as well. Sometimes I do. Okay, listen. I am learning that sometimes I do just need to shut the fuck up and let the video play. Oh, but Asmongold doesn't want to do that because, again, since he is the larger content creator in this sort of interaction, he just feels like he can basically do anything and get away with anything because larger content creator.
Again, like, none of this has anything to do with whether this is a good or an accurate thing at all.
Incredible. I'm
Stupid.
making the case that these false talking points are being spread specifically due to racism, and Asmongold doesn't think it's relevant that the people spreading them are openly racist. You can't make this shit up.
And again, I want to...
Well, it's because he thinks it's virtuous to be a racist, right? That's why. He is okay with fucking racism. He thinks it's okay for these people to be fucking racist, which is why he is happy about these claims being spread by racists, because he's a fucking racist, and he likes being racist.
Take a step back. It's environmental, it's educational. There is also the factor of inbreeding, which is massive. All of these things have nothing to do with race.
Why do I have a feeling that inbreeding is actually not that massive of a fucking factor, and it's, again, just like a cope excuse for these motherfuckers to never engage with the fucking Flynn effect? To never engage with the real reasoning that affects, like, IQ scores within differing sort of people, not being a byproduct of the environment and nutrition that people, generally speaking, have?
And they're still all factors for IQ. So what's happening is that you just have a person who's throwing a bunch of buzzwords at it to hopefully get people to disagree with what's being said.
Irony.
Yeah, by the way, this is also another thing that these dumbasses do all the fucking time, is to just say, like, oh, you're just throwing a bunch of buzzwords, because... another thing, listen, this is just for you, Birdman. These motherfuckers love thought-terminating cliches. This is one of their favorite fucking rhetorical tactics. They fucking love thought-terminating cliches. Basically, anything possible to not let you continue with a particular thought that would inherently debunk a lot of the stupid shit that they're saying because of how incredibly fucking, well, stupid it is.
Which is one of the points I was making in the video, so double irony.
You're trying to shut down conversation, and you have to keep in mind, let's go back and talk about that eugenics conference that was banned. The reason why these things are banned is because research into this topic isn't allowed.
Asmongold is lying to you.
Yeah, it's not that it's allowed, it's that it's been debunked. The research that, like, Richard Lynn basically did was allowed to happen, and then people took a look at it, said, like, this looks like a bunch of bullshit, and then proved it was a bunch of fucking bullshit. You're just mad that, oh, your worldview is being called a bunch of bullshit.
Contrary to popular belief, there isn't an overarching body controlling scientists. Literally anyone can conduct a study into these topics. I mean, we are literally discussing a person that did. The problem is, these claims don't stand up to peer review. Third-party scrutiny is a core tenet of the scientific method. You conduct your study and then submit it for other scientists to attempt to replicate your work. If they can, it gets published and becomes a part of the scientific consensus. If they can't, they explain why they can't replicate those results, and it doesn't get accepted into the scientific consensus. People like Asmongold, who preach fringe pseudoscience, think that other scientists debunking these claims is akin to not being allowed to conduct these studies. It's just not true.
Which is very
Either Zach
stupid.
knows this and is lying to his audience to push a narrative, or he doesn't and should probably stop publicly embarrassing himself on a topic of which he's completely ignorant.
That's what he's doing. It's dishonest. You have to keep in mind that the father that invented DNA, not invented, excuse me, discovered DNA, was effectively had his entire career destroyed because he said that there's a chance that there could be a racial basis for where IQ is coming from.
As if we needed any more, this is proof that Asmongold doesn't have a clue what he's talking about. The person that discovered DNA was Friedrich Miescher, a man who said literally nothing about IQ tests because
they
died 10
did,
years
yeah,
before
because
the very first IQ.
I was about to say, were IQ tests even invented when fucking DNA was even discovered? Like, for some reason, I significantly doubt that.
Tests were developed. It's infinitely hilarious to me that people actually thought Asmongold won this interaction with me, because that means they're stupider than he is. Zach is talking about
Well, yeah, they
Watson, one of a couple of scientists who figured out that DNA has a double helix structure, not the person who discovered DNA. Do you see how easily this man spreads misinformation? Zach also claims that Watson's claims about IQ derailed his career. Watson made his remarks in 2007 when he was 79 years old after a 40-year career. He himself stated his retirement was overdue and attributed to his old age. But Asmongold would have you believe that this man lost his career because of his racist claims, but he's leaving out he's talking about...
It's because he's getting canceled, folks, let me tell you.
He's also leaving out that Watson was a flaming bigot that said things like there should be fewer women in science, disparaged his female colleague Rosalind Franklin, who was as integral to understanding DNA as he was, and made numerous racist remarks. Isn't it funny that every person Asmongold promotes or quotes is among the worst people you've ever heard of?
No,
So the
that
reason
doesn't
why
surprise
there isn't
me.
a lot of research or information in this is because there is a wrong answer, and it's basically politicized science that has been effectively co-opted by activists that will not let people have a conversation about this topic at all.
Yeah, man, totally, bro. Like, again, this is it's the same fucking thought-terminating cliche that all these motherfuckers constantly fucking engage in with. That's what it is. They're just like, no, we just want to be proud and avowed fucking white nationalists and racists and just say all of our pseudoscientific bullshit and not get called out for the fact that we're just a bunch of fucking goddamn cranks. That's the problem that these people, generally speaking, are having. They're just mad about the fact that people are saying, you're stupid and wrong, and here's why you're stupid and fucking wrong. Shut the fuck up. You're just dumb, and I don't like you.
That's the reason what's going on.
Hue of sub-Saharan
The
Africa.
guy's a critical drinker, generational hater. What is this? Pull this up.
So, someone in Zach's chat sends him a montage of me using low IQ as an insult, which he plays all the way through. I'll fast forward to his actual reaction to this. Drinker is
Well,
a
anyway, so
Why the fuck does that matter, by the way? Yeah, the critical drinker is fucking low IQ. He's very fucking stupid and only says the things that he says in order to push a fucking political message. Yeah. Period. End of story. Listen, I have no problem with just calling critical drinker a fucking low IQ dipshit, because guess what? Yeah, he just is.
This is the person who's making a video of me talking about IQs. Huh. It sure seems like he cares a lot about IQ, actually.
This was the part of the live stream that...
Very dumb.
What was that reaction to this montage? What was that montage supposed to even prove? You show me calling people low IQ as an insult. Okay. And? Yes, that is a thing that I do and will continue to do. Me saying you are using a debunked racist talking point has nothing to do with me using an insult. Your very argument is that Somali people being low IQ is a fact. The people I call low IQ aren't necessarily low IQ. I'm just calling them stupid. It's called figurative language. So if you're attempting to call out hypocrisy here, conflating criticism of your position with my jokes, then you're undermining your own argument claiming Somalis are factually low IQ. Unless, of course, you're going to argue that every time you call someone dumb, you're referring to them being unable to speak, which is the original meaning of that word.
He's not
And
referring
also
to
keep
that.
in mind, none of these were arguments. None of this was an argument at all.
I'm amazed that you can make that determination based on clips that were taken out of their context from videos you've never seen. Like, what the fuck are you even talking about? This is literally the first of my videos you've ever actually watched. How the fuck do you know those weren't arguments? You watched a clip montage, silly.
Well, I'm going to be quite honest. They think that these are fucking arguments because they don't actually know what an argument is. People like Asmongold and his ilk do not know what actual fucking argumentation is. So they'll pretend to make claims and say like, oh yeah, this was an argument that was definitely made by someone. When in reality, you take a look at what exactly the person said, it's just like, no, that's not actually an argument whatsoever. You have no idea what you're talking about. You are an idiot. Just stop talking.
Their point was to show me using low IQ as an insult, likely because they're under the impression that I'm one of those people that is afraid of using bad words. Trust me, you got the wrong guy. Was around 70. Notice I said
Wait,
IQ
what?
of sub-Saharan Africa was around. In this journal, Flynn argued that the IQ of sub-Saharan Africa was around 70.
Okay.
Notice I said sub-Saharan Africa. Yes, Lynn's argument was that a continent that consists of about 50 countries all had a similar very low IQ.
He did.
Okay. All the European countries have similar IQs. All the Asian countries have similar IQs. This tracks.
You're repeating Richard Lynn's claims again. It's true that neighboring countries in the West often show similar average test scores, but that pattern is explained by shared environmental factors like education systems, economic development.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, there is no point in basically repeating any of these fucking points because, again, like, Richard Lynn's idiotic fucking statements have already been fucking debunked. There is no point in fucking bringing this up. It's like, it's stupid. Like, oh, yeah, there are parts within Asia and also, South America and all these other different continents that have all these sort of, not numbers displayed, but basically the same fucking IQ scores. But the thing is that it is not as bad in a more developed country like, say, America, or like, say, Asia, or like, say, South America in comparison to Africa because of, the fact that they have been brutalized by fucking colonialism and imperialism much longer in comparison to those fucking continents, right?
And nutrition. Lynn's claim was that those differences are genetic, and that interpretation is not supported by the evidence. Tell the class, Asmongold, what is the IQ of a North Korean peasant? They're East Asian, sandwiched between two economically impressive countries in China and South Korea, and they're genetically identical to South Koreans. What's their IQ?
Well, we're waiting.
In this instance,
it is generally speaking probably going to be lower because of the material conditions that are significantly fucking worse. By the way, this isn't just going to apply to North Korean peasants. This would also apply to European peasants and peasantry in general before the advent of, because we're going to be doing a little bit of something funny called historical materialism, before the advent of public education as a byproduct of what exactly? The Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution necessitated there to be a public education system to be able to teach the former agrarian peasantry that existed during the feudal era of basically economic accumulation. It required for them to be able to start to get educated because guess what? They need to be able to understand how to operate the machines of the current industrialized economies. Again, that is what we call, as a Marxist, historical materialism.
I'm criticizing Lynn for doing bad science, where he uses data he collected from malnourished refugee children in a camp in Kenya and other bad collection methods in places like Ethiopia to represent the thousands of ethnic groups in the 50 countries of Africa. On its face, that is an insane thing to repeat as if it's a fact, and it's incredible to me that anyone with a working brain can't see how utterly ridiculous that is. What never gets said in these discussions is that Lynn excluded data that showed when Africans had higher IQ scores, because it didn't fit his narrative. This is what racism does to you. It causes you to believe the stupidest shit imaginable simply because the hate in your heart wants it to be true.
True. He's spitting.
Obvious problem with this argument is that
This is an average.
is huge, and there are over 1 billion people with over 1,000 different ethnic groups.
Uh-huh.
Nigeria alone has more than 200 ethnic groups, and that's a single country. Do you think Lynn tested every ethnic group in Nigeria, let alone?
Do you think that
Definitely
didn't
didn't
have a higher IQ than people in China?
Why does that have any fucking relevance, you stupid motherfucker? The point that fucking Birdman is inherently talking about there is Lynn going to... Because he literally did only one study into any of this. Do you think that Lynn would have fucking looked over every fucking African sort of diasporoid or diaspora individual in order to be able to come up with the generalized claims that he came up with? Stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid.
This is where I burst out laughing while watching the stream. That was an irrelevant question that isn't addressing the criticism.
Like, stupid.
Running away from it, otherwise known as a red herring. Whether Nigerians potentially have a higher IQ than Chinese people is irrelevant to the fact that Lynn's collection of data and subsequent IQ classifications was faulty. You can at least try to keep up with what I'm saying. I don't give a fuck about your question. It was a non sequitur and a straw man. You got 3 logical fallacies with a single question. Very impressive.
Like, really, it is so that it's just like you think about this for 3 seconds, and you immediately realize that it's
Oh, we definitely agree. And if I can make a small suggestion, Zach, perhaps it's the fact that you only think about things for 3 seconds that's the issue.
That's true.
What they found was that because African countries are developing countries, they hadn't experienced the variables that cause the Flynn effect, such as improvements to nutrition, healthcare, and even toys. In other words, the environment is the most relevant variable in determining one's IQ score.
So why would you want to bring people from the country that have a bad environment into your country?
To improve their environment, you fucking morons, so then they can become contributing members of society, you stupid motherfucker. That's why. So you can improve their material conditions. That's how it works, you dumbass motherfucker. That's the point for as to why they fucking goddamn leave to begin with. To get a better life for themselves, you dumbass motherfucker. Yeah, it's a good point, Boy Meets Mini. Hey, Asmongold, why did fucking Europeans come here? Why did they come here? Why did a bunch of Europeans fleeing World War I and World War II fucking come to the United States of America? Everyone fucking thought they were incredibly stupid and had fucking low IQs, yet all those Italians, Irish immigrants, French immigrants, all fucking came to America all the fucking same. And they were still fucking discriminated against and called incredibly fucking racist epithets by people like your fucking self.
Why would you want to do that?
This is one of the funniest responses to one of my videos of all time.
Yeah, you know, great point there, Alex. Yeah, why did the Irish flee? Couldn't have been, because of a particular funny little famine that happened that was caused by the British. No. It couldn't be anything impertinent to that whatsoever.
Admitted that one's environment plays a part in one's IQ. Literally, this means that a change in one's environment improves that person's IQ. Now he seems to be saying that one's IQ is static. Unfortunately for Zach, we have a study for that. According to a meta-analysis by Ritchie and Tucker Drop, IQ points can be raised by 1 to 5 points for every additional year of education, and that this effect persisted across the entire lifespan of the individual. This means those supposed low IQ African people we import will simply become smarter over time, Zach, which directly contradicts the main justification for why you don't want them in the country.
Oops.
So, like, I don't understand. Because, like, so if your brain isn't developed properly because, like, for whatever reason, you know, environmentally or whatever else, who creates it? Well, they do. They're killing each other and cutting each other up. They've been doing this for thousands of years. I mean, obviously, that's the reason why. And
hey, dipshit, moron. They do the same shit. They did the same shit in fucking Europe. Well, you thought that, like, I don't know, people in Europe don't just, like, didn't run around before and just cut each other up in, like, stupid, pointless, frivolous wars in the past? Like, you think that it was just a thing that never fucking happened? Stupid. He's just stupid. He's just an idiot, man.
You can't understand our IQ is so good they have to keep living in mud huts rather than building houses. Exactly what you said. Yeah, of course. So the thing is that it's not relevant to me whether the IQ is arrived at through,
like, literally, yeah, it's stupid. Like, yeah, dude, Africans only build, like, mud huts and shit like that when that's just, like, fucking nonsensical. It's like, yeah, man, totally. That's exactly what every fucking goddamn African has basically done. Only build fucking mud huts. Dumb.
Racial, genetic, or environmental reasons. The only thing that matters is whether the IQ is or isn't. If you bring a bunch of people
that's a lot of mud huts
into your country, you're going to have a lot of problems. So why would you ever invite that type of chaos into your country? It doesn't matter where they're coming from. It doesn't matter why it's happening. Why would you ever do that? It's stupid.
So I let him ramble there to show that he doesn't even address the claims that are being made here. I said that environment plays the largest role in determining one's IQ score, showing evidence on the screen, and his response is to fearmonger and appeal to emotion. This man has shown literally nothing to support his claims and instead elects to filibuster. I'm not interested. Let's move on.
There's a reason, like, aren't like 80% of these people on welfare in America? It's insane. And then also keep in mind,
that's the same debunked talking point as raised by fucking Trump. No, they are not on fucking welfare, for 80% of them, and they will join a temporary program as fucking refugees, by the way, and then stay on that a little bit, which is normal for fucking refugees. They will stay on that program for what purpose exactly? Oh, so they can begin integrating with the society, which apparently you want so badly, Asmongold, or do you actually want these people to be able to integrate with society? I have no idea, honestly. What is this, Boy Meets Mini? Addis Ababa. This is in Ethiopia. Listen, let's make this a little bigger, just a little bit bigger, okay? Just for Asmongold. Man, this is very, very much so a lot of mud huts in Ethiopia. Nice fucking meme, Asmongold. Very, very good.
that it's not just systematic, right? Or it's not just environmental, because even, like, for example, Somali American families inside of America that have been here for 10 years. They have been in America for 10 years.
That's true,
they still
Alex.
have a much dramatically higher rate of being on welfare than, normal, like, I would say, like, just average, everyday Americans from the general population.
Again, that's a byproduct of them being refugees, you stupid motherfucker. Yeah, they have to go on some temporary assisted fucking programs for a little bit while they integrate into society, because guess what? They were refugees and probably do not have much wealth that they're coming in with. Stupid.
Once again, Zach is parroting misleading information. As I stated earlier, these people that he's referring to are refugees and are receiving benefits due to being refugees. Comparing them to average Americans is an unfair baseline. Average Americans have families that have been here for centuries and have established wealth and capital, and he's comparing
Hey, this is the same thing that I've been fucking saying. Crazy.
them to poverty-stricken refugees escaping war. Also, on welfare is doing a lot of heavy lifting here, as it's a nebulous term that Asmongold doesn't think he needs to define. The truth is that these households are using at least one program, not a full dependency, and even this usage declines over time. And it doesn't matter, because economists agree that immigrants contribute more in taxes than they receive in benefits over their lifetimes, and their descendants contribute even more.
That's it.
Not genetics. But let's rewind for a second.
It has nothing to do whether it's genetics or not.
Take that up with Richard Lynn, the very guy you're getting your silly IQ numbers from, because he very specifically stated genetics are part of one's IQ scores. You seem to want to use Lynn's conclusions, but are running away from his reasoning.
That's true.
Something that you all may not be familiar with.
What is it?
The Flynn effect.
Right.
The Flynn effect is the observed rise in IQ scores over time. Basically, if you gave an average...
I think this is true. So in general, you are going to have a ceiling and a floor of IQ. Like, for example, if somebody's really, really naturally smart, if they are not well educated and they're not, like basically, they don't have good... What do you call it? They don't have good like environment, or like they don't have good nutrition, excuse me. And for whatever reason, they don't have these options. Well, what ends up happening is that, yeah, they're not going to be as smart as they could be, but their floor is higher than somebody else's. So it's the same as anything else. There's a variation of it, but that variation doesn't go from 100 to 0. There is a natural limitation that each person has. And if you really think that you can train two random people and one of them can just randomly be Einstein just because you educate them in the right way, you're just delusional. You're obviously delusional. Every single other element of humanity is measured in this way. So for example, there are people who are shorter because they have lower, amounts of food that they're eating, but it's not like people that have an adequate amount of food are always 7 feet tall either. There is a genetic...
What the fuck? Like, what is this fucking ramble? Like, what is this fucking schizo talking about? Like, this... What does this have to do with the fucking Flynn effect? What does this have to do with literally anything? What is he talking about here? Like, what is he saying? What relevance does this have? This is a very fucking strange comparison that Asmongold is making here.
variation, but inside of that genetic variation, there is a ceiling and a floor for each individual person.
Literally nothing of what Zach just said has anything to do with the Flynn effect. He just demonstrated that he
doesn't
know what he's talking about. Again, I guess he saw the chart on the screen and thought it was communicating a hypothetical ceiling in one's intelligence, but I do enjoy him doing my job for me. Person from 1901, a modern IQ test, they would score dramatically lower than the people of today. Not because they were genetically predisposed to being less intelligent, but because IQ tests measure certain types of abstract...
There are people that are just stupid.
Yeah, that's very funny coming from you, Asmongold. Buddy, you say stupid shit all the fucking goddamn time. Like, again, hilarious for him to say this shit.
This is, and there's a problem, is that a lot of people inside of Western society are terrified of the idea that people are not equal. But they're not. And we all know this. Everybody knows this. If you've gone to a public school, you would know this. There are a lot of people that are just born with less talent points than others. They're stupid. They're dumb. And there's nothing...
Again, this is incredibly ironic coming from you, motherfucker. Very, very ironic.
You're going to be able to do. You're not going to be able to, like, teach them something. Maybe you can make it a little bit better, but you're never going to teach a lot of these people to be rocket scientists. It's just never going to happen.
Hey, Zach.
Fucking, like, listen, buddy. Like... No one can fucking teach dumbasses like you any of this stuff, okay, buddy? Stupid.
Have a study for that. I suggest you familiarize yourself with the A.B. Sidarian project because, yeah, we can train rocket scientists actually, and we also can grow one's brain size simply with high-quality early childhood programs. You don't know what you're talking about. There's a reason you evolved with 2 ears and 1 mouth. James Flynn, the political scientist who documented this pattern, showed that IQ scores increased roughly 3 points per decade in many countries throughout the 20th century.
I think there's a lot of reasons why that happens, and one of the reasons is a eugenic reason. Whenever you have dumb people that are really stupid, the probability is that they're not going to reproduce. So the reason why is that those dumb people usually make bad decisions, those bad decisions get them put in jail, and you can't have a kid whenever you're in jail. So that's what happens, is that a lot of dumb people wrong, well, of course it's obvious that's true, is that a lot of the dumbest people are going to get removed from the gene pool.
This man is arguing...
What the fuck are you talking about? That's not how that fucking works. Like, yeah, first off, based off of what evidence? First off. Second off, that's not how that fucking works. Poor people are more likely to have children, you stupid motherfucker, because guess what? Oh, they're in fucking poor educational sort of attainment. There's a lot of complicated reasonings, sociological fucking reasonings for as to why poor people are more likely to have more fucking kids. Again, stupid. He doesn't know what he's talking about here.
The opposite of reality. Evidence suggests the more intelligent a population, the less likely they are to produce. It's a paradox that we don't yet fully understand, but the data contradicts Asmongold's claim. To everyone's...
I think I know why this is actually the case, honestly. It's because of the current material conditions that we find ourselves under. Let's be honest here. It is very, very expensive to be able to fucking raise a kid right now, right? The reason for as to why people, generally speaking, are not raising children at the moment right now is because of the fact that it is very, very fucking expensive to be able to do as such right now, right? Especially in the current society that we have ourselves under, where it is extremely, and I mean extremely fucking difficult to be able to fucking raise a fucking kid, right? It's really, really hard to be able to do it right now because of the fact that so much wealth and so much concentrated wealth and power has been going up for the past latter part of about 50 years to a particular fucking goddamn, well, set of people. And that being, the billionaires, all the corporations, and the fucking rich. That is why people, broadly speaking, are not having kids right now. It's fucking expensive, and no one has any money to be able to do it.
The prize, I am sure.
What do you mean? No, it's obvious this is true. You're going to have the lowest, dumbest people that, like, I'm not talking about, see, like, this is what people don't understand. You're thinking I'm talking about people with, like, a 90 or an 80 IQ. I'm not. I'm talking about people with a 60 or a 70 IQ. This is
like
a
yourself?
totally different wavelength. And those people are probably not reproducing because a lot of those, especially the majority of those people with that low of intelligence.
70 IQ men are not reproducing. Yeah, like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. Like, lower IQ people are more likely to fucking reproduce in comparison to fucking smarter people because, again, like, let's be honest here. The reason is because if people are smarter, they're going to want to be able to work and focus more on their careers. That's what they're generally going to do. They will want to focus more on their careers in order to have some form of, well, I was going to say, like, a legacy for themselves, but more so because they just want to be able to have some form of, like, professional attainment for themselves instead of just immediately fucking settling down and wanting to have a fucking family. Like, stupid. Yeah, so are incels the dumbest people by that logic? In the mind of Asmongold, then yes, it should be.
Are men, those men are getting put in jail. That's it.
So, if IQ were purely genetic and fixed...
It's not purely genetic. There's a lot of factors to it. Genetics are one factor, but it's not the only factor.
That kind...
Stupid. Like, the guy you're fucking arguing in favor of, Asmongold, is saying that it is the primary factor, you dumb motherfucker. Again, but he just loves to constantly contradict himself.
of rapid change would be impossible.
Yep.
Evolution does not move that fast. Your great-grandparents were not biologically inferior to you. They just lived in a world with less formal education.
Well, they were shorter, too. Another component to this is that it's height. Like, people in general over the years have become taller. And I think the reason why is the same thing. Like, this isn't even an argument against what I was saying. I think everybody knows this.
Was it because of genetics? Like, what are you talking about?
You literally didn't. You thought the Flynn effect was a hard limit on one's intelligence. Please stop. You ain't fooling no one. Less exposure to abstract symbols, less complex media, and different cognitive demands.
I don't think that the reason why is that they have less complex media or there's less cognitive demand.
Who cares what you think? I'm communicating the data. You seem to be under the impression that I'm giving opinions here when I'm explaining the results of studies on this topic. This is why your response to my video was an abject failure. You believe you are arguing with an equal, a person that is giving an opinion, and since everyone has opinions, you thought yours was just as valuable as mine. But you see here...
Unfortunately, Birdman, and that's the problem with a bunch of fucking fascists who are what we're dealing with here, they do think their fucking opinions are as valuable and are the same as, say, yours or mine, when in reality, that is anything could be further from the case. I really do believe that the opinions of fascists should be valued as fucking lesser. Period. End of story. There's a reason why I consistently say that these people should be fucking socially ostracized from fucking society. Because fascists and white nationalists, people like fucking Asmongold, are not in congruence with the goals and the end desires of fucking society. Period. End of story. If Asmongold, if he had the ability to basically throw anybody in a fucking concentration camp because people disagreed with his idiotic fucking theories and beliefs, he would. Which is why these people should be ostracized from broader fucking society. You can't live with these people. Period. End of story. You can't interact with them. These are people who fundamentally do not believe in society. Do not believe in the fucking social contract. So as a result, they should just be fucking ostracized. Period. End of story.
Where it's talking specifically about media? Yeah, I'm breaking down the data, not giving an opinion. I don't care what you think. You're a person that literally admits you don't do any research on these topics, so what you think is precisely irrelevant.
This is a very fucking good point here that again fucking not Asmongold but the Birdman is bringing up here. Like, Asmongold is a self-avowed anti-intellectual. He does not believe in empiricism. He does not believe in general sort of like, well, belief in empirical sort of data or fucking values. He doesn't agree with it. He could give less of a flying fuck about any of it. And as a result, anything that he says, broadly speaking, should just be laughed out of and just made fun of. Yeah, he doesn't know what fucking psychology is. He just said that to sound good. That's it.
Relevant. Which means IQ scores are sensitive to the environment and improve when the environment improves. Access to schooling, nutrition, healthcare, the complexities of daily life, all of these things are relevant, and none were accounted for in Lin's work. Because of course they weren't. Lin was a self-described scientific racist. His goal was to show how inferior black people were. Richard Lin's work on
This is, again, it's not even about race in the first place. This person's arguing with me about something that's different. Now, I do think that if you controlled for every variable...
This isn't even... He's not talking about you. He's talking about Richard Lin, you dumbass. Jesus Christ. Hey, Asmongold, if you stopped, like, sucking your own dick for, like, literally 3 seconds, you'd be able to fucking recognize that.
Right? Is that if you controlled for every single variable, and every variable was exactly the same, and you took 1 million people that lived in Somalia, and you took 1 million people that lived in China, and you judged their IQ, would they both have the same IQ?
This is Zach admitting that his argument...
Okay, you literally just admitted that your fucking argument is... You literally just fucking contradicted yourself and admitted that your fucking argument was just wrong, you idiot. You idiot. We already know that the environment within Somalia is worse in comparison to that of China, so Chinese kids, in comparison to Somali kids, are naturally going to have better IQ scores as a result, you dumbass motherfucker. You're arguing, the position of the anti-racists in the favor of anti... He's so fucking dumb, man. He's so fucking stupid, dude.
Was always about genetics, because if it weren't, he'd know the answer to this question is a scientific unknowable. He has always assumed the genetic basis for this argument, and I'm glad he finally admitted it after lying earlier. In any case, we don't know the answer, but all evidence points to them having similar IQs if every factor was accounted for. You don't have competing evidence suggesting any other outcome.
Nope.
Besides Lin, of course, a person that had to publish his findings in the scientific equivalent of the magazines the Men in Black read. Let's move on. The bell curve has been challenged by geneticists, psychologists, and statisticians for overstating the heritability of IQ across groups and for downplaying environmental variables, treating socially constructed racial categories as biological truth. Richard Lin was one of the primary scholars who compiled and popularized cross-national IQ datasets.
Here's what I think also, because this is just like more bullshit. I think that what you should do is you should do more research into this and figure it out yourself. Go over there and test these people for IQ. Test people that...
Yeah, man, totally. Asmongold's audience should just go to like a random Somalian refugee camp in order to do fucking IQ tests on all of these refugees. Just like Richard Lin did, and tried to base his entire sort of scientific production and study based off of the IQ tests of one fucking one random population in a fucking goddamn refugee camp. Stupid. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. He did that. It was proven wrong. It got made fun of, and that's why he publishes his stupid bullshit in stupid bullshit fucking magazines and stuff. Idiot. He's just an idiot. Idiot.
Came over here that don't have these same problems and then see what their IQs are.
So basically Zach's eyes glazed over because he couldn't keep up, so he called me citing studies bullshit and goes on to say I need to conduct these studies on IQ. That's not how the burden of proof works, dipshit. You are the one claiming these people have low IQ, so you need to go conduct those studies. My side is the current scientific consensus. We already know your eugenicist talking points are bullshit. You need to go prove it to yourself.
There's a reason why we don't do a lot of research on this. And the reason why people don't do research on this is because they're afraid of the answer. I'm confident that I think that more research and more investigation into this will lead to the obvious outcome. But for some...
Really? Because guess what? That's already been done. And guess what? They proved your position wrong, you dumbass. There's been studies into this already. Are you going to read any of them? No.
Some people, they don't even want to talk about it. They don't even want to look into it. And that's the real problem. And they don't want to do that because what they've built onto it...
By the way, this is the same fucking low IQ bullshit that every fucking white nationalist and fascist does constantly. They'll just be like, they... And they'll do all the fucking, like, air quotes constantly. Don't want you looking into any of this stuff because they're afraid of the fucking conclusions. It's like... No, you fucking dipshit. It's already been done. It's been debunked and disproven and called fucking stupid and inaccurate. And everyone who makes fun of you for saying, like, wow, you're constantly repeating all this, like, stupid, really inaccurate bullshit. We're just going to start making fun of you and calling you fucking stupid.
is they built an entire ideology of the blank slate. The blank slate doesn't exist. The blank slate is to a degree true.
And that's all you need to know about Asmongold's positions on anything.
The blank slate doesn't exist. The blank slate is to a degree true.
Huh?
Well, he directly contradicted himself immediately.
This is
Stupid.
the textbook definition of racism, by the way. That race is a fundamental determinant of human traits, and that those different...
It is a fundamental determinant of traits. It obviously is.
And there it is.
You fucking idiot. You just decided to admit that it's okay, so then you're a racist. I'm just gonna keep calling him a fucking racist at this point, because guess what? He just literally admitted that he's a fucking racist. Just a racist. Period. End of story. I don't give a shit. Asmongold is just a fucking dumb goddamn racist.
Ladies and gentlemen, he just admitted he's a racist, by definition, with the definition on screen. So for
Stupid.
all the people that claimed I called Zach a racist, I never did, but I probably should have, by his own admission.
One of the best traits is skin color. Big surprise. People of one race are going to have one skin color.
He just said, people of one race are gonna have one skin...
Yeah, people of one... Yeah, dude, people of one race are gonna have one fucking skin color. Yeah, Boy Meets Mini, how many fucking very white Indian people are there? Himalayan fucking Indian people. The Cubans, by the way, would blow this argument out of the water. You want to fucking do a collaboration with Nick Fuentes, and he's white, bro. He's a white fucking Hispanic. Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, Punjabis, people probably around like Kerala and the southern parts of India have much fucking darker skin because they're closer to the equator, so they'll have more melanin in their fucking goddamn skin. Yeah, Destiny is Hispanic. Oh, guess what? White fucking skin, bro. He's so fucking stupid, man. Jesus Christ.
Skin color. I guess he thinks these two people are of a different race, and that these two people are the same race. I wonder what he'll say when he sees Freddy. Let's let him continue making a fool of himself.
This is one thing that people don't even consider with like racism.
Yeah,
and
Marco
skin color
Rubio.
are actually two different things. Like, if you have people that are from a different race, like, race isn't always defined by just, like, one specific thing. Skin color is just the most obvious indicator of that. Very clearly, there are racial differences between people. Anybody knows this. This is the type of a priori knowledge that every single person in the entire world knows is true, but inside of Western culture, we're supposed to pretend like it's not true because people are all willingly participating in this deliberate lie. Very clearly, race is a factor. It's obviously a factor, same as gender is and everything else. But for some reason...
What are you fucking rambling on about? I mean, we are talking about Asmongold here, who is a self-admitted, self-avowed fucking goddamn racist at this point. Like, what are you fucking even saying here, dude? Like, what are you talking about? I don't even know what this fucking dipshit is currently rambling on about, because again, it's like, it's stupid, it's irrelevant, who the fuck cares about literally anything that he's saying? He's just saying words. Saying words to not make himself look like the complete fucking clown that he just made himself look like. Stupid. Yeah, racial discrimination by the state and wider society is a factor. That is true. Yeah, race, generally speaking, is not a factor in terms of determining, like, people's performance in terms of being able to perform in, like, a fucking IQ setting or intelligence or whatever. No, that's nonsense. What is a fucking goddamn determining factor, as per talked about by, the fucking Flynn effect, and every scientific study that has looked into this, is the environment, which you've also admitted is also the case. But again, you're too fucking stupid to basically admit to that, because you're just, again, an idiot parroting a bunch of fucking talking points.
And because people are afraid of talking about this, nobody ever wants to look into it at all.
What? What the hell was that rant? What did any of that have to do with me showing the textbook definition of racism? You sound like an intelligent design proponent. Teach the controversy! No one is afraid of your bullshit eugenics, Zach. They just fall apart under scrutiny. Being debunked is not people hiding the truth. You are a conspiracy theorist, and not even a particularly good one. Flat earthers at least read the literature. Some of them, anyway.
I am dumb and I can't read.
The problem is not simply that Lynn held...
Because also keep in mind that if you were actually trying to debunk this, you would do further research into people that live in these areas, and then he would be showing that further research and the IQ differences being more, like, smaller, right? Like,
I don't know how many times this has to be fucking said to, like, all these dumbass motherfuckers. Bro, you are making claims. You have to prove the claims. The burden of proof is on you, constantly. But for some reason, now the burden of proof is on us to prove you're fucking negative? That's not how logic works, you dumb motherfucker.
Okay, well, there was other research, and this research came out and it proved that it wasn't true. Isn't it interesting to you that in all of these videos and all of this information, not a single actual point of, like, counter research is provided?
Unfucking
Jesus
believable.
Christ.
He just accused me of not providing counter-evidence when some of that counter-evidence is behind his head on the screen. Not to mention, this entire video is explicitly me providing counter-evidence. This is one of the most embarrassing responses I've ever seen. He's also asking for us to conduct a study.
No, honestly, I don't agree with this, actually, Birdman. I don't think it is an embarrassing fucking response. We're talking about Asmongold here. Like, Asmongold. Asmongold is just this fucking stupid. Like, for all of his talks about, like, I don't know, IQ and all this fucking bullshit, he has a shocking ability to be, like, subhumanly fucking low IQ himself. Okay, Zach, square the circle. Some parts of India have greater than, or rather that's less than, 75% literacy rate and higher poverty rates, and other parts have very good quality of life and lower poverty rates and 97 plus literacy. How does the same race have these different results? Couldn't be the environment. Yup. Couldn't be because of the material conditions in particular states all across India are significantly worse, such as, the northern parts of India, which have a larger collection of Brahmins, that being the upper caste Indians, who have more wealth and social mobility as a result of the caste system that exists within India, in comparison to that of the southern Tamils, who are a part of, generally speaking, lower castes and are generally delegated to essentially doing a bunch of agrarian peasant work. Couldn't be because of that whatsoever.
To disprove his claim. Zach doesn't understand the concept of the burden of proof. He is the one that believes and claims African people inherently have lower IQs, so he has to conduct those studies. It's his claim. You see this dumb shit by people who don't know how to debate all the time. You can't prove me wrong. We don't need to prove you wrong. You need to prove you right. Saying they won't let us conduct the studies is absolute cope. This is embarrassing for you because that research...
I find it really funny that he put that fucking Bernie Sanders gif there, because again, let's be honest here, it always comes back to the fucking Jews in the end. It's always the fucking Jews. Oh. Wealth distribution flipped pro-independence. The South is the best part. Okay, well, whatever. You know what I meant, Boy Meets Minnie. Fuck you.
Already exists, as explained by this study right here. It's just that your specific claims routinely get debunked. You don't like the outcomes of peer review, so you lie and construct a boogeyman. Extreme views, including open support for eugenics, but that his data practices have been widely criticized for flaws in its methodology.
Eugenics works. A good example of it is Yao Ming.
Asmongold is openly advocating...
Listen, this is the second time I'm laughing my ass off at that fucking claim. Yeah, dude, Yao Ming is a social science experiment, or whatever the fuck, is a scientific experiment by Xi Jinping and the Chinese as a, I don't know, remnants of the research of Unit 731 or whatever the fuck, in order to be able to create the tallest Chinese man ever seen before. Yao Ming is evidence of the fact that fucking eugenics is true. Oh my god, it's so fucking stupid, bro.
For eugenics. And no, the dumb example Zach gives with Yao Ming is not an example of eugenics, because eugenics refers to systematic attempts to control reproduction across a population to promote certain traits, not two tall people having sex to have a tall child.
Yep, that's exactly true. Because again, we all know that's not how that works. If two tall people have sex, that doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna have a fucking tall kid. But then again, we're dealing with Asmongold here, and Asmongold is functionally illiterate.
Upon reviewing Lynn's work, Wichert states the following. The assertion that the average IQ of Africans is below 70 is not tenable, even under the most lenient of inclusion criteria. Because Lynn missed a sizable portion of the relevant literature, their estimate of average IQ of Africans is clearly too low. Combined, the current systematic review and the results of our review of Raven's test suggests that the average IQ of African test takers is close to 80.
Same here, Boy Meets Minnie.
Is this an argument against me?
Holy shit. This genius tweeted the IQ of Somali people is 68 and that this was a fact. And I show evidence that this wasn't actually a fact, and he responds with, is this an argument against me?
Yeah, dumbass. Jesus Christ. God, he's so fucking dumb, bro.
You're a moron and a coward. I hate people like you.
Yes, Zach.
Thanks, Luffy.
It definitively proves that you've been quoting an inaccurate number this entire time. One nearly an entire standard deviation lower than the actual figure.
Whoa! Oh my god! Oh! Oh, man. Asmongold fans, there's a reason why people think that you are subhumanly, like, low IQ. Because this is your fucking mans. And this is the mans that you fucking defend. Who says fucking incredibly stupid shit like this all the time.
Trying to spin this is beyond me. On top of that, you and your moronic followers are trying to pretend 82 and 68 are not significantly different numbers, when, again, that's almost...
Yeah, that's pretty big. If we're talking about, like, people's IQs in this particular instance, or statistical work generally speaking, like, being off by one standard deviation, that's a big fucking goddamn number.
Higher standard deviation. It is also leaving out the fact that the 82 IQ figure isn't correcting for economic and environmental factors, so these people are close to average despite living in abject poverty. This entire section of my video ass fucks your original tweet, and for whatever reason you're pretending like I haven't debunked you. Perhaps it's you with the 68 IQ, Zach, because you're clearly not intelligent enough to understand that I just demolished your argument. If these people...
Birdman, I have bad news for you. Asmongold does have 68 IQ.
are close to average while suffering from malnutrition and various other economic factors, what happens when they're in a country that doesn't have those issues? Think about it for 3 seconds.
He can't, I'm sorry, he can't think about it.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, he's arguing against you? Yes, you cannot join the army with an IQ below 80, by the way. They're borderline, exactly. So I think that the benchmark, so you cannot be part of the army if your IQ is, I think, below 82. And the reason...
Sorry to say, then, unfortunately, I guess, the vast majority of Asmongold viewers are not going to be able to participate in the army.
Why is because, and also keep in mind, average. Now, what does average mean? It means half of the people are below that.
That's not what average is, you fucking moron. That's the mean. Or no, not the mean, the median. That's the fucking median, you motherfucker. Median means middle point, okay? Average is not that. Jesus Christ. Yeah, median does mean middle, Matt. That's why. Talking about, because he said that, oh, this is like below average in terms of like below the, because he doesn't understand how a fucking bell curve works. He was trying to say that the average, being below average IQ, means that you are in the below the middle of the fucking data set, when that's not how that fucking works in statistics.
Look at his smug face while completely getting average wrong. What he just described is the median, not the average. This guy doesn't have a clue what he's talking about, yet he's so confident. This is so fucking funny.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, uh-oh is right, buddy, because according to that stupid logic, it also means half the people are above that. I guess he just forgot what half means. This guy doesn't know the difference between mean and median, and he's trying to shit-talk people with supposed low IQs. You cannot make this up.
Yeah, he's very low IQ himself.
That conducted bad science, and that the average estimated IQ of poverty-stricken African people is actually close to average, which is usually defined.
The average, it's actually, wait, what?
In African people is actually close to average.
80 is not the average at all.
How is it possible that you heard me say 80 is close to average and still strawman my argument? I mean, I'm even showing on the screen that the average is considered between 85 and...
That's actually genuinely fucking incredible. It's like... He's too stupid to even know what words mean, man. He's like... His brain is like so full of mold from fucking Nergalite pestilence or whatever the fuck, like, brain disease that he fucking suffers, that he doesn't even know what fucking, like... If he hears like a word, he can't perceive it because he's just too stupid to be able to do it. Like, it's incredible, man. He's an incredible fucking this is, I don't think this is even a straw man, to be honest. Zane, I think he's too stupid to be able to fucking do a straw man, right? I think this is just him being like genuinely, like, shall we say, below average IQ.
115, and you still don't get it? You, the guy whose argument against immigration is partially based on how intelligent someone is? Yeah, I don't think you're the guy for this conversation, Zach. You might want to tag somebody else in.
What are you talking about? That's extremely low in America. That's incredibly low. It's low in Asia, too. Wait, what?
Which is usually defined as between 85 to 115.
So if it's between 85 and 115, and they said it was low 80s and it was 80 to 82, then it wouldn't be part of the average. You just said the number wrong.
This is absolutely hysterical.
Jesus Christ,
wrong,
bro.
I very specifically said close to average. 82 is close to 85. I can't say it any plainer than that. It's absolutely frying me that you can barely keep up.
He doesn't even, like, does Asmongold just not even know how to count? Does he need to be sent back to, like, 4th grade or some shit to be able to count better? Actually, no, not even 4th grade, to fucking kindergarten. in order just to be able to count. Like, listen, I've been talking about the sort of like death of fucking critical thinking and education in America as a byproduct of like No Child Left Behind and the destruction of university subsidies, as a sort of like a byproduct of Ronald Reagan taking away those subsidies because they didn't want to have an educated proletariat. Now, I knew the fucking effects of that were bad. I didn't think it would be this bad. Because, Jesus Christ, Asmongold is just like the... I often described Aiden Ross as the perfect poster child for the consequences of No Child Left Behind. I think I should change that to Asmongold instead now.
Here, while being an advocate of IQ scores, it's like your picture should be next to irony in the dictionary. And remember, we are talking about countries that have faced civil war, famine, disrupted schooling, disease...
Civil war, famine, disruptive schooling, disease. Okay, these seem all great reasons to bring these people into America.
Yes, I agree.
Actually, yes.
They wouldn't be facing those issues and could thus thrive as a people. See? Common ground. And extreme poverty, not to mention constant exploitation by Western countries that literally...
That's right. It's Western countries' fault why these countries are shitholes.
Shitholes.
Yeah, that's actually...
See, you, Zach.
Yeah, by the way, actually, that's a very, very good reason for as to why... let's be honest here. When it comes to people like Asmongold, there's no point in having an argument or debunking with these people. You just insult them. You just make fun of them, and you call them fucking stupid because they are just fucking stupid. It's because these people are wholeheartedly just incapable of learning or being interested in, like, understanding anything whatsoever. Like, he's just stupid, man. Like, just an incredibly, incredibly fucking stupid individual.
Lived in a shithole. Due to the current policies of the United States, many non-Americans refer to America as a shithole. My point is, your opinion is irrelevant here. The fact is that, yes, Western countries have destabilized many countries in Africa, including Somalia, and those actions are a major cause for the economic situation these countries are currently in. This is an inarguable fact. The Cold War between the Soviet Union and the United States majorly affected Somalia, with Somalia initially siding with the Soviets until they betrayed Somalia by allying with Ethiopia during the Ogaden War. This led to Somalia siding with the U.S. during that conflict, and this war led to the collapse of the Somali government in 1991. This collapse caused a civil war, and that is why so many Somalis fled to places like Minnesota. So yes.
Shocker. Whoa, you're telling me... Wait, Birdman, you're saying that a bunch of people became refugees because of the fact that there was a war that happened not that long ago because of imperialist colonial powers wanting to take advantage of, a very, very easily exploitable fucking goddamn country. Shocker. And that Asmongold is too much of a fucking moron, similar to Nux, in order to be able to fucking recognize any of that stuff. Because, again, these people are just grifters looking to serve a particular audience.
The United States and the Soviet Union played a crucial part in the collapse of the Somali government. Go back to school because you don't know a fucking thing.
And that's the
Sorry, actually, he can't go back to school because he's functionally just way too fucking stupid. Even if he went to fucking back to school, again, like... he would not be able to fucking, like, pass, I think, even, like, the basic one, like, I would be surprised if fucking Asmongold could even pass, like, first-year fucking courses. Like, I'll be honest, Boy Meets Mini, I would be highly surprised if he even could. And also, again, just the same point that I've talked about before, with Asmongold living in, like, a squalid sort of, like, environment, it's a perfect sort of way to argue about IQ, his low IQ being as low as it is, as a byproduct of the fact that he lives in a completely squalid fucking environment.
Why, for example, whenever Britain invaded China and forced them to, buy tea and stuff like that, and they colonized India, that's why there's no smart people and people successful in China and India.
Okay, first off, no. That happened hundreds of fucking years ago. In the case of fucking India, literally the fucking caste system. Listen, Boy Meets Mini, I know that you want to fucking go off on this. Give me 1 second here, and then I'll leave the floor to you, okay? If you want to fucking hop on or anything. Yeah, India did invent modern math, but whatever. Same with the Islamic Golden Age, but whatever. Literally the reason why India was not as bad off, same with China, was because the current dynastic and societal structures were still in place. Africa did not have an opportunity to be able to develop like India or China did before, shall we say, European colonization and European sort of interruptions. Like, in terms of imperialism in Japan, or not in Japan, but in China, it was not nearly to the degree of that of course, India in comparison to what the British did. But India fared off better because they still had a lot of their civic administration and infrastructure still in place, because that's what the British did in order to be able to, colonize India. They used the infrastructure and the civic administrations currently put in place in India in order to be able to establish colonial governance there. But Asmongold will never know about any of that history because he's too stupid to want to learn about any of that history, and fundamentally too incurious to want to learn about any of that stuff.
That's the exact reason. Because, see, like, every country that, Europeans colonized is now just totally fucking famine-stricken and terrible. Like China, for example.
This is a false equivalence. China was never fully colonized by European powers. Again, you don't know what you're talking about. What happened in Africa was fundamentally different from what happened in India or China. During the scramble for Africa, European powers controlled 90% of the continent and built colonial systems designed primarily for resource extraction. Those systems left weak political institutions after those countries gained independence. India, by contrast, inherited a centralized administrative state from the British, and China retained state continuity because it was never fully colonized.
Yep. So basically the exact same shit that I just fucking said, because Asmongold, don't fucking talk about history because you have no fucking idea what you're talking about.
Actually making my argument for me, that institutions matter, because places like India were left with robust investment in their social systems, while Africans were treated like cattle, used as bodies for war, and things to be exploited for the enrichment of Europe.
Yep.
Persisted this day. The phone you're watching this video on contains cobalt, a chemical element that is abundant in the Congo. This element is mined using child labor in the Congo, and not only does this mining degrade the environment and pollute the local water system, it results in birth defects of the children born there.
So why would you want to bring a bunch of defective kids into America?
So they can have a better fucking goddamn environment to be able to grow up in, and you can basically take care of those fucking defects. Stupid. Stupid, 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 stupid. He's just dumb. He's just dumb. He's just dumb, and he just wants, like, children to die.
Why would you want to do that? That's stupid.
I am describing the conditions that contribute to these people's socioeconomic outcomes. If they're being exploited, this would contribute to them having a lower IQ. Your argument against their potential immigration is that they're lower IQ. I am proving that we are contributing to that, not making an argument that any one person should immigrate to the United States, but that if they did immigrate, their IQs would rapidly increase, because that's what happens when you live in a country where you're not being exploited and receive proper nutrition and education. Why is Zach having this hard a time keeping up with this very simple video?
Okay. Not that Birdman is incorrect here. He's correct here. It's because he's a white nationalist. It's because he is a fascist. And this is, broadly speaking, not the problem, right? But the issue with Birdman's analysis, right? Birdman, like I mentioned way fucking goddamn earlier, generally speaking, wants to keep it as apolitical as possible, right? Now, does Birdman actually in reality probably know about the fact that Asmongold talks about and pushes the particular things that he says for a political agenda, for a political purpose, to push a narrative? Yes, but he's never going to express his what Asmongold's political predilections are, because for Asmongold, the reason why he says this stuff is because of his politics, not because of any principle that he holds, but because he garners a particular political belief, and that is of white nationalism. He is a just period end of story, a white supremacist of first and fucking foremost, right? What he ultimately wants is a white ethno-state to be established within the United States of America. That is what Asmongold wants specifically. Now, I'm not going to particularly fault Birdman for not wanting to bring it into this particular sort of, aspect, because that's not really his wheelhouse, or he doesn't really want to fucking talk about that, which is fine. That's his sort of prerogative, right? He just wants to debunk the sort of claims, scientifically speaking. But the reason why Asmongold says this stuff is because of his political predilections. He's just a white nationalist. That's why he says the things that he says.
Do I need to speak slower? In 1996, the American Psychological Association's Task Force on Intelligence explicitly warned that environmental factors such as education, nutrition, and health significantly influence IQ test performance.
Why do they keep warning and not researching?
How the blue hell does anyone sit through this man talking for more than 10 minutes at a time? He just asked, why are they not researching while the research
the research is right there.
You see, he's not listening to understand. He's waiting for an opportunity to speak, usually with one of his stupid canned talking points that has nothing to do with what's being said. This is an absolutely abysmal attempt at a rebuttal, and the fact that he wasn't embarrassed to put this shit out is exactly the problem with this guy. So this brings us back to Zach's tweet.
Right.
Yes, This claim is racist because it was made by a racist whose entire purpose was to denigrate an entire continent.
No, you said the race.
Guys.
No, he said the word racist, so now we have to do some very dumbass fucking thought-terminating cliche. Stupid.
Guys, it's 80. It's not 67. It's not 68. It's actually all the way up there at 80. It's racist.
Guys, a standard... Zach, I know that you don't understand what standard deviations is, but if we're talking about statistical analysis, being off by an entire standard deviation is grounds to have your entire fucking study thrown out.
It's racist. Guys, it's racist. Oh, no.
The only thing you were missing there was the clown makeup, Asmongold, because you are doing nothing here but making a fool of yourself. You were wrong about the number you cited, calling it a fact, and now you're coping, pretending that 82 isn't a significantly higher number than the one you cited. You're trying to downplay being off by nearly one standard deviation. Yes, the claim you made was racist because that number was specifically arrived at to denigrate African people, as Lynn excluded evidence that showed African IQ scores were higher than what he wanted to show. You haven't refuted a fucking thing here. You're just talking over my video. Defend yourself. Fight back. Substantiate your claims. Do something other than crying about people correctly attributing the racist label to a guy that literally called himself racist. You have no evidence. You have no facts. You have nothing backing you up besides your feelings. Well, guess what, motherfucker? Facts don't care about your feelings. I'm embarrassed to be subscribed to you because the best you had to offer was think about it for 3 seconds. How about you think about it for 4 seconds? Because at least with that extra one, you might accidentally stumble into a real argument.
All right. A crash out, but a very, 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 very valid crash out. Very valid. I will give that one to Birdman.
Keep in mind the biggest mining operations in Africa are Chinese. They usually employ Russian mercenaries for protection. What's this?
No, the fuck it's not. Unironically, the De Beers Corporation has one of the largest fucking mines in fucking parts of South Africa and Rwanda, and also fucking, I think it's Zimbabwe or Zambia. I think it's Zambia. I always mix up the two. I'm very, very bad with names.
Western bullshit? Of course the Chinese do that. I mean, duh.
See? Some dumb, inaccurate bullshit that his audience pulled from their ass, and he just accepts it because it fits the narrative. Chinese mining operations in Africa aren't even in the top 10. Like, some of these are even called Anglo. Once again, no facts, no evidence, no nothing. Just regurgitate anything that seems to fit his narrative. And it's even more embarrassing because he's doing this live, proving he knows literally nothing about this topic. The worldview requires Somalia or any other African country to be permanently capped at 68 IQ in order to make sense, then the science wasn't the point. The conclusion is. And that,
well, the conclusion is the point, actually. Like, if there's a country that has an IQ of 68 average...
Why would you say that? Because... Oh, my fucking God. Like, why would you just say that, bro? Like, oh, yeah, the conclusion actually is the point. It's like, yeah, that's literally the argument that Birdman is making. That, for you, the conclusion always was the point. And not actually coming to a scientific consensus. Thank you, Asmongold.
Or let's say it's 80 on average. Let's assume it's 85. Do I want to bring a bunch of median level, average 85 IQ people into the country? No, it's because these people are like an entire almost standard deviation below the average, and I think that their functional value in society is going to be minimal.
2 things. First, Zach was just trying to laugh off being nearly a standard deviation off in his tweet, but is somehow now arguing that a standard deviation from average is big enough to warrant banning these people from immigration. The guy is a flaming hypocrite. And second, we've already proven that these apparently low IQ Somali people contribute significantly to the economy, so saying their contribution is minimal is a flat-out lie. But Zach did just prove that he'll accept literally anything as long as it confirms what he wants to believe. So we know he's just talking out of his ass here with nothing to back up his claims.
Yep.
That's sad. Wow, mic drops, I know. So basically, this guy spent his entire video calling me racist, and then when he finally showed the data still showed the exact same thing that I was saying, but he said it was a different number.
Everything out of your crust.
Jesus Christ, man. Being off by a standard deviation would unironically get your fucking studies thrown out in any fucking academic fucking journal, you dumbass. So yeah, it's kind of important to not be off when it comes to your fucking data, you stupid, stupid, stupid motherfucker. But then again, we're talking about Asmongold here, and literally the entirety of his fucking existence on this planet is to just be anti-fucking empiricist. He is, again, there's a reason why he is the perfect avatar for the fucking fascists, because he basically embodies all of their traits to a fucking T.
Written mouth is a fucking lie. I didn't spend my entire video calling you a racist. We all just watched it together. I spent nearly the entire video not even talking about you. 99% of that video's runtime is me talking about the history of the claim and why it was bad science. Not only that, I never once called you a racist, only that the claim itself is a racist claim. Remember, we are talking about whether Trump's claim was racist in nature. No one is even talking about you specifically. Not even you. And the idea that anything I said supported your dumbass tweet is ludicrous. You were so—
But again, like I said before, these dumbasses basically have to make everything anything about themselves. They all suffer from some fucking strange main character syndrome. That's like literally it. Like unironically. They just want to be the main character in, I don't know, some fucking anime or some shit at all fucking times, which is really, really fucking cringe because of, I don't know, the hatred that Republicans have of, I don't know, anime, but I don't know, like, when it comes to specifically people like fucking Asmongold, he'll just, like, parrot and just say all the incredibly dumb, stupid shit constantly because, again, he just wants to push a particular narrative. That's literally it.
Merrily debunked. You stated Somalis had a 68 IQ. That was a lie. You said it was a fact. I proved it wasn't. You said this was a narrative push. I proved you're the only one pushing a narrative. This idea that the 82 IQ number that Witcher to you supports anything you believe is nonsensical. You're forgetting that part of that argument is that those people are still living in poverty and are malnourished. The argument is that if these people immigrated to somewhere like America, their IQs would be perfectly average because the data supports that those with lower IQs can raise them with proper nutrition and education. How the fuck did you fail to comprehend the video this hard? I can't believe...
Because it's on purpose. And this is, again, like, not to knock Birdman, because everything he's saying here is good and accurate, because this is his purpose. He is purely a propagandist, right? Period, and end of story. Because he just has a particular narrative that he wants to push. A racist narrative. Very, very fucking simply put. He is just a flaming fucking racist. There really is no other way to sort of like talk about Asmongold without just saying that he is just a fucking stupid, dumb motherfucking racist who simply just wants more racist fucking things to happen in the United States of America because of one reason and one reason only, because he fell into the alt-right pipeline by engaging with a bunch of anti-woke fucking content. It all comes back full fucking circle, motherfucker. It is all because of, him falling down the alt-right pipeline as a byproduct of Gamergate 2, fucking Electric Boogaloo, and him just basically being incredibly stupid and fucking racist for the express purpose of what exactly? To be able to, I don't know, get his fucking dollary dues and all of his, like, stupid bullshit on his fucking goddamn stream. That is the point. He's just a fucking racist. Period. End of story.
Someone like you has the nerve to use IQ to denigrate others, because clearly you are low IQ.
This is all fucking true. Good video there, of course, there by the Birdman. All of his claims are good and excellent, and fucking Asmongold is really fucking low IQ. He's incredibly fucking stupid. And it's like I've said before, there is a reason why I say there is no point to debate people like fucking Asmongold and just debunk his claims. The only thing that you can do with a motherfucker like this is to call him subhuman and incredibly fucking stupid and low IQ. That is literally it. You just insult him. His arguments are nonsensical. They don't believe in anything. They always inherently contradict everything that they fucking say. So there is no point in having fucking honest engagement with these people, because it's, again, as our favorite fucking dude, Jean-Paul Sartre, would say consistently. Let me get the fucking quote. Here. Specifically, Jean-Paul Sartre talks about the anti-Semite, but you can interchange the anti-Semite with literally any other right-leaning sort of ideological sort of prescription. You can say fascist, you can say white nationalist, it doesn't fucking matter. All of it fucking applies. Never believe that anti-Semites are completely unaware of the absurdity of their replies. They know that their remarks are frivolous, open to challenge, but they are amusing themselves, for it is their adversary who is obliged to use words responsibly, since he believes in words. The anti-Semites have the right to play. They even like to play with discourse, for by giving ridiculous reasons, they discredit the seriousness of their interlocutors. They delight in acting in bad faith, since they seek not to persuade by sound argument, but to intimidate and disconcert. If you press them too closely, they will abruptly fall silent, loftily indicating by some phrase that the time for argument is past. Broadly speaking, at the end of a barrel of a gun. There is a reason why you should never treat people like Asmongold seriously at any point in time. His claims are stupid, nonsensical. They should never be fucking listened to. They should never be acknowledged as even being broadly serious in any fucking circumstance, because he is not interested in being fucking serious. He just wants to be a fucking clown on the internet. That is literally it, which is why there's only one path forward for someone like him specifically. You insult him, you make fun of him, and also on the side, explain why what he is saying is fucking wrong. Period. End of story. There is no point in engaging with someone like Asmongold in a honest, good faith conversation, because he is not interested in honest, good faith conversation. Period. End of story. Which is why, again, not that I think what Birdman is doing here is bad specifically. It's good that he keeps shitting on and going after all of these knowing fucking grifters. It is a good thing, right? The problem stems from the fact that we are dealing with someone who is just blatantly dishonest and is not interested in being honest. Could give less of a flying fuck in terms of being an honest interlocutor. Because guess what? He's just a stupid fucking jester for a audience of incredibly insidious fucking actors. That being white nationalists, fascists, and even Nazis. So nothing that Asmongold should ever be treated as is serious, because he is not serious. He's never been interested in serious, because he doesn't believe in anything, and everything he says is inherently contradictory. But still, overall, it was a solid video there by the Birdman. It was a good video, right? I can't really disagree. His arguments are all sound. He substantiated all of his fucking claims, and Asmongold, the only thing that he ever did was just flail about like a complete fucking moron. Which is why you just make fun of him and you just shit on his fucking views. Period. End of story. But still, I'm rambling here a little bit. I don't think there's really much else to say besides, like the anti-Semite, someone like Asmongold should never be treated honestly.